it's like ladies' afternoon here at Nuanez now. We got all sorts of my favorite women in the studio and on the show. Welcome in. Thanks so much for joining us here on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. I must say,
we had a little company picnic down at Fort Missoula. It was very hard to come back, but coming back, what's going to be a great show, certainly well worth it. In studio with me, Krista Redpath, one of your favorites, one of our favorites. She's our co-host this summer, again, for the third season, I should say, of our Where Are They Now series. It's presented by Ryan and Miller Law, your Montana attorneys, and we will be catching up with a whole bunch of great figures from around the Big Sky Conference with a lot of heavy Montana flavor. Our guest today, all-time Lady Grizz great, and a legacy figure at the University of Montana, Jordan Sullivan, the niece of Robin Selvig, an all-Big Sky player for the Lady Grizz, and has spent her life in basketball because she continues to coach. Crazy to think it's now year 10 for Jordy. She's at the University of Utah. She's doing great, and it was really fun catching up with her. So we actually caught up with her earlier this week on Monday, so we'll play several excerpts of that interview here today. We'll also hear from Carolyn, the chick who doesn't know sports, and we'll talk some NBA Finals as well, so it should be a fun day. Krista, you're all decked out in green. How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm doing great. I'm feeling really good. That's why I have this Larry Bird jersey on today, because I'm trying to, just instill a little bit of that green runs deep in all of our listeners and viewers.
Oh, I love that you're so good about being objective when it comes to the stuff that we cover, the Big Sky Conference mostly, but you do wear your heart on your sleeve when it comes to your teams, and you're a diehard 49ers fan, but the Celtics are your number one,
I don't
right?
want to be number two for the second team, okay? I don't like this number two.
Right. I've always thought about this because, like my teams, I only have one team left, really. That's the Minnesota Vikings. They've never done really much of anything. Like, they just make the playoffs every 3 years and then lose. So I've never experienced what it's like to, have my team that I root for lose in the biggest game. You've actually had to go through this relatively a lot recently because the Celtics have been to 2 finals recently and lost, right?
Yes, they have.
The 49ers have been to
let's not even revisit football. But I want to hang banner number 18 in Boston.
It's going to be a great series. Starts tonight, 6:30, Mavs versus Celtics. We'll talk a little bit more NBA Finals in hour number 2. If you're not watching on TV, you're just listening on 102.9 ESPN Radio. Krista is wearing her throwback number 33, the Larry Legend, Larry Bird jersey. We got our drive book out. I got no rooting interest in this. I will say you're going to kill me, but I bet on the Mavs. I got the Mavs in 7. That's what my future's been. You're glaring at me. I'm sorry. I have one question for you about this. Maybe we'll get back to it in hour number 2. But you were saying as we were driving in, you can't sport the Tatum jersey until he gets it. We've been talking about this a lot. What is it about Jason Tatum? Because he is such a clearly talented and gifted young man. He's very handsome. He's got a very appealing game just in terms of being 3 levels. Yet he's not embraced really at all by Celtics lovers or Celtics haters. Why?
Coulter, if I could figure that out, I would have the $1 million answer right now, because I have the same question. I struggle with Tatum. Maybe it's all the hugging he does after games that he loses. Drives me crazy. We are a hugging team. And I think he's a piece to the puzzle. I think Brown is right there. I think, obviously, we have the pieces. Porzingis is huge.
And if Kristaps Porzingis is back, that's a huge factor.
And he
for
is
the
back.
Celtics.
He is. And this is the reason why we traded for him, right? I was so sad when we traded away Marcus Smart, but now I can see that vision. Drew Holiday as well. I mean, that was a monster trade to the Trailblazers. We gave up a number 1 draft pick in 2029, plus Robert Williams III. So there was some things that were on the line, but I'm feeling pretty confident.
Drew Holiday is such a great addition. I don't know if you know this, but our mutual friend, Ryan Simonson, the Simonson son, he lived across the street from Drew Holiday for 2 years while living in Milwaukee. Because Drew, they wouldn't give him a long-term contract, so he was renting a house next to the house.
I mean, he won a championship with the Bucks.
I know, and then they got rid of him. Poor guy, but lucky Celtics, because I think he is one of those underrated players in the league.
He is a defensive monster, so he's a lot of fun to watch.
He's awesome. Krista Redpath in studio. It is June 6th, though we must acknowledge this as well. This is the 80th anniversary of D-Day. I think it's important for people to remember this. This is certainly one of, I don't think it's hyperbolic to say one of the most important days in the history of the earth. I mean, this is when the United States Army charged the beaches at Normandy, World War II, a turning point in that war. And it's crazy that it's been 80 years, so I always like to acknowledge that. One of my old roommates is a veteran, and it used to be required when we lived together. You watch Saving Private Ryan every single year on D-Day, and so hopefully he's doing that again. I probably won't watch Saving Private Ryan because we're watching the NBA Finals at my house tonight, but most acknowledge it, and thanks to all of the service people that have given so much for us to be able to, sit here and do a sports talk radio show and be free like we are here in America. Jordan Sullivan coming up, our Where Are They Now series, presented by Ryan and Miller Law. Ryan and Miller Law, a law firm specializing in personal injury and criminal defense. They handle cases across the state of Montana and focus in specific areas of law to ensure their clients with the best representation. Their firm proudly handles automobile accidents, medical malpractice, wrongful death claims, DUIs, and criminal charges. Ryan Miller Law, your Montana attorneys. Visit ryanmillerlaw.com for more information. Only got about 1 minute before we got to roll this Jordan Sullivan interview, but I've always found her a compelling character. Obviously, there's the family ties when it comes to Robin Selvig, but I think Jordy deserves so much credit because she has carved out her own niche, both as her time as a Lady Grizz and now sort of making her way in the coaching business, and she's reached high heights at the University of Utah.
She's so well loved. She's getting married here in the next month, and she sent me the list of Lady Grizz teammates and former players that are coming, and it just spans across so many different generations. Jordy was a generation connector, and she was one of those players that really had the ability to just reach out and connect with so many different players and from all over Lady Grizz history books, and she's really special.
Certainly an awesome tie to Eastern Montana as well, because she's from Sydney. And so we started our conversation about her background and what it was like growing up as Robin Selvig's niece here in the state of Montana. One of our favorites, an all-time great Lady Grizz, and now coaching down there at the University of Utah, Jordan Sullivan, our guest on our Where Are They Now. Jordan, thanks for being here. How you doing?
Thank you guys for having me. It's awesome to see your guys' faces and be here. So thank you.
Let's just start with the here and now. You're there at the University of Utah, been there for, 3 years now. So just take people through what it's been like. You were at Montana, your alma mater, for several years, and now you're coaching, at the highest level of college basketball. I'm sure there's a lot of comparing and contrasting that we'll get into, but just tell us just about your current role and what it's been like being down there in the University of Utah.
Yeah, Utah has been awesome. It's been a pretty, Missoula, Montana is probably one of the hardest places to ever leave for anybody that's ever lived there. And so coming to Utah, that was hard in itself to leave Missoula, but it's a really cool city. Salt Lake it's got that outdoor, you got the city, you got the outdoors. So it kind of feels like that Montana mountainous feel. So that transition was easier for me, and I really need that, I think. So that's been fun to come somewhere like that. But basketball wise, it's a tough, it's tough anywhere you go, but I think this level, recruiting especially is just a different beast, and the people you're trying to beat for recruits is just surreal a little bit, because I'm like, oh, you talked to Gino yesterday, like, okay, and that's just the norm now. But that's where I'm like, I'm kind of used to that, and that part is specifically different, but there's a lot of similarities, like you said, coaching and relationships, and what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it, I think, wherever you go. So it's been fun.
So Jordan, growing up in Sydney, Montana, you probably, you spent a lot of time playing basketball and being associated with the game of basketball, obviously a part of a very storied family. But can you talk about growing up in Eastern Montana and what that was like in small town Montana?
Yeah, Eastern Montana, man. I went back there in the beginning of May and drove down the High Line, and just kind of I was driving by all these small towns that I hadn't been by or driven by for so long, and I'm just kind of reminded by, there's not a lot out there. It's like a small tiny town and then land with nothing else, and it's pretty and it has all its perks, but you really are like, wow, I was in the middle of nowhere growing up, and I didn't know any different, and so I loved it, and it's still a great place to call home. But Sydney had basketball and sports, and that's what you did, and that's what kept you busy and kept you out of trouble and all those things. So I really appreciate growing up there, because I have appreciation for other things now as a result of it, and the community, and that small town community. There's really nothing that can compare to everyone just kind of rallies behind you and gets behind your teams, and everybody has to be a part of everything so that you can even have a team. So yeah, Sydney gave me that appreciation for all kinds of other things now. But yeah, that's Sydney. I don't know how many people, when I tell people I'm from there still, they think it's Australia. And I'm like, no, like, do you hear me? I'm not from Sydney, Australia, but they just don't know. And I've shown people like how I get home. Like, now that I'm here, the staff here at Utah, I'm like, So this is where I had to go to drive 4 hours to get here. And then I drove back 12 hours and they're just like, whoa. But that's just kind of how it is. You don't really think anything of it when you are from there.
What do you think of just how Sydney has sort of changed and evolved over the years? Because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of small towns in Montana, they're all based around the same thing, but there was like the oil boom in Sydney, and then there was sort of like an influx of population, but then some people left. So I mean, I'm sure this is probably it'd be a really interesting question for your family that's still there. But I
Yeah.
mean, what do you think of just the way that it's sort of evolved and changed?
I thought it was really different when I went back in college, like right in the heart of the boom. It was very different. And like I could go into the grocery store and not know anyone. And I'm like, what?
Right.
It's because usually it's like, everybody. So that was really strange. And now it's kind of now it's back to more normal to what I grew up in. But during the heart of the boom, there's no groceries on shelves. You don't know people. There's new hotels popping up. And I'm like, this is really weird. But yeah, I think that would be a better question for my family that's lived there for the whole time. But yeah, it's changed, but it's kind of back to the Sydney I knew growing up.
So Jordan,
You
Go ahead.
mentioned the sport. You mentioned the sports aspect of it too.
Mhm.
City's always had solid basketball, but I mean, like the dynasty in football in the late '80s, early '90s, and then all the wrestling championships. And there's been a lot of championships in Sydney, especially specifically football and basketball. So, just having that success, how much you think that just as a town, as a community, how much you think that just sort of infiltrated your athletic mindset?
I think it when we didn't win a state championship or even get to a state tournament for girls basketball, that was seeing those other sports have that success. It was like, okay, this is doable, but it's time for us to get back there. So that was motivating for me in high school to rally with my teammates and get to the state tournament because it just hadn't happened a lot for girls basketball. So yeah.
So Jordan, you came to the University of Montana and played for your uncle, Robin Selvig, favorite for everyone in Missoula.
Good guy.
He was in his 33rd year by the time you came in. Your mom played for him. Your aunt played for him. Was it always a given that you were going to go to the University of Montana and be a Lady Grizz?
It's funny you asked that because that was kind of the story that I grew up knowing, and I always wanted to go there. And I went to their camp every summer since 5th grade, and I always wanted to be a Lady Grizz. And then when I was playing, I think my junior summer and sophomore summer, and I was playing AAU, and I was out on this, AAU circuit and getting more exposure and hearing from all these other schools and coaches. And I'm like, just had a stubbornness about me for a little bit where I'm like, I don't have to go to Montana just because everyone thinks I should go to Montana. Like that was my stubbornness. And then I came back around and was like, no, this is the best place for me to go. I've always loved it. Why wouldn't I go there? But there's a little point in time where I was being a little chippy about it, but it ended up being exactly where I should have gone.
Was there pressure given just all your family?
Yes, there was pressure.
I'm sure.
I mean, I remember specifically my grandpa pulled me aside and was like, you're going to lose your opportunity to go there if you don't commit there. And I'm like, well, it freaks me out a little bit, but yeah, I mean, they all knew that I loved it. So I think that the pressure came from what are you doing? You know that you want to go there. Just, you don't have to just fight it just because other people want you to go there. So, but I'll never forget my grandpa doing that. And he was never really like that. So I was like, Grandpa, he kind of scared me a little bit. And he was probably right. I probably could have lost my scholarship. So I was like, okay, I think I committed pretty shortly after. Yeah.
Jordan, you came in as a freshman and played for the Lady Grizz right away. And that year, that 2010-2011 year was amazing in that you ended up having to go to Portland State and win 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
And ended up in the NCAA tournament against UCLA right in Spokane. And that was incredible. I mean, just an 8-point loss, I think, is what it ended up being. But can you talk a little bit about coming in to play for the Lady Grizz and then immediately being put on the floor and having such a successful year?
Yeah, I think as a high schooler, you have goals and you have, your thoughts of where you're going to be on this team, but it's not till you get into it and, you're in the mix of it. And it's humbling. It's not what you think or what I thought anyway, going into it. And so I had to battle, Sarah Anna every day in practice. I remember just getting my butt kicked by her every day and feeling discouraged at times and feeling like, why am I even on this team? Because she just kicked my butt every day. But that, that grind of just keep coming back, and having those players that were older than me that could push me so hard and keep me going. That's why I found any time on the floor, because I was pushed so hard in practice every day. And then it was, there were some games where it's like, I think I played 2 minutes and I didn't play much, and that was how it went. And then there were games where I was needed to play a little bit more and scrap a little bit more. And that's just, you just kind of have to adapt and adjust to what and when you're needed and be ready for it. So yeah, that freshman year was really fun though, because we had to kind of find our identity late in the year. That's when we kind of found, what we could do and really played our best basketball at the right time. And so we went into that tournament. And I think now as a coach and just being out of it for 10 years, I'm like, that was really hard to do. Harder than I thought then. When I was in high school, I was just like, oh yeah, Lady Grays, like they always win. So I want to go there, we'll win, and you're like, no, it's not that easy at all. So that was, that freshman year in that tournament, making that run at Portland State and going to the NCAA tournaments, one of my favorite memories in college because of all that, it really was a Cinderella story kind of feel.
And I know when I played for the Lady Grizz, I had such a great relationship with the seniors when I was a freshman. Carla Beatty, Malia Kipp, Sherry Brooks. And so I look at the senior leadership for you, Sarah Anna, Stephanie Stender. Those are real good friends of yours,
Yeah.
But the impact that they had on your years, even after your freshman year.
Yeah, they did. They set the tone. And I think that's really important when you come in young to a program, is to get that, what is this supposed to be like? And then that's what you want your team to be like every year from there on. But they had to set the tone for us to know this is what it takes. Like, this is what you have to do to be good. And it's not easy.
So Jordan, I know that after your Lady Grizz career, you were accepted into law school at the University of Montana. You actually attended law school for a little stretch there before you decided that, hey, I want to coach. How about that?
Yeah, how about that?
You deciding to make that transition and just feeling that calling for coaching.
I don't know if I'm crazier for wanting to go to law school or crazier for wanting to go to coaching. There's some screws loose up here, I think. But yeah, it's so funny. You think like you get done with school, and I was playing basketball for a little bit after, but I was just like, I need to start my career. I need to get going. Like, what am I going to do? And law school was something that I had thought about. And so I by the graces of God, got into law school and had 3 weeks of it under my belt before Shannon was like, hey, we got an opening. That's when Katie Faulkner now took that job at Oregon State. And so the new director of ops position that just started at U of M was open. And I'm like, I just remember feeling so weird going to campus every day and not going to the gym. Like, I just hated that feeling. And so after a long weekend of a lot of conversation, I came in Monday. I'm like, all right, I'm out of here.
I remember those conversations. I had one with you.
Hard. Yeah, that's right. I know. But yeah, it's kind of I like to share that story sometimes with players now that think they have to go figure it out after college. And I'm like, trust me, like, you might think that you want to do something and it's completely different than what you end up doing. So just don't stress out too much.
Ryan and Miller, Where Are They Now series. Krista Redpath, Jordan Sullivan joining me, Coulter Nuanez here on Nuanez Now, as well as on ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. I want to talk a little bit more about the time with the Lady Grizz that got you then into this, because you had such a strong contingent of Montana flavor on that team, which was always a trademark of Robin Selvig's teams. But particularly with you guys, I mean, you guys had a lot of gals that had played even before Lady Grizz and then throughout your Lady Grizz career as well. So just having so much familiarity with each other and also just having so many battles, even going back to your high school AAU days. I mean, how much do you think that impacted your guys' ability to have success together?
Well, I think it started with just wanting to play together longer, after having the teams that played together and all those different players that had a taste of it and what could be. We were familiar with each other and knew that, oh, those girls are really good. I could play with them in college. Like, we could be really good together. And so that recruiting process of it all kind of helped. And then getting into college, you are familiar. And there's something with, just knowing each other. That's such a big part of it, is the chemistry that you have off the court and the being able to give each other a hard time and have tough conversations, and all those things lead into the camaraderie that you need and the chemistry that you need to be a good basketball team. And so I definitely think, there's something special about seeing all the teams before us have all these really good Montana basketball players, and then having pride and wanting to be a part of that was such a big part of wanting to go to Montana and keep that tradition alive. Krista, you're one of those.
I that is just, it really makes my heart happy, Jordan, to hear that. I also look at your relationship with your cousin Carly and getting to play with her. I mean, the Glendive product, but your best friends, your cousins, you get a chance to play with your cousin and have a lot of success. Talk about getting a chance to play with Carly at the college level.
No, we had to go head to head our whole high school, and it was like the Jordy Carly rivalry for Glendive and Sydney. That we just never heard the end of it either. So it was just like being kind of pitted against each other our whole life when we didn't really even want to be, but that's just the storyline that everyone ran with. It was really fun to finally, like, she's such a talented player, and I don't think she ever really knew it. Like, she never knew how talented she really was. And so getting to play with her and have her, basically take care of business for all of us if we messed up on defense, and having her right there to pick up the slack. And she played a huge role in the team all 4 years. She was just such a special player that you can't just find Carly's. Like, they're hard to come by. So it was fun to get to see her growth too. After she redshirted and graduated a year after me, so getting to see her grow too, like from the outside of it, was really a special part, because we've just been playing against each other since we were in the driveway at our aunt and uncle's house, like at Easter, fighting and all those things. So it is a really unique story that when I think about it, I'm like, we're really lucky and really blessed that we've gotten the time together that we've gotten.
And part of your family history, obviously with the Selvig name, but getting a chance to play for your uncle. And I know that he's a mentor to you in all avenues of your life, but talk about how the relationship with Uncle Rob went to Coach Rob, and how that evolved during your playing years.
It's funny because Rob was so busy all the time growing up, and we had, the Selvig family had big get-togethers for holidays, but Rob couldn't really come that much. And so I knew Rob more as, the Lady Gray's uncle that I saw at camp every summer, and I got to go to his house and stay there and go to his pool. And that was like my biggest thing, is like, oh, get to go to Rob's pool. Like, camp is cool, but we get to go to the pool before. We got to load up our car with snacks and a TV and like drive 9 hours to Missoula for camp. And so that was he was a fun uncle for me for a long time that way, until basketball started to kind of take shape as something that could be, down the road thing, and something I do after high school. So yeah, when I got to college, that, he was the same old Rob, but I did have to, just address him differently and try to call him coach and those little things. But he's always been the same exact person, whether it's been at his house, jumping in the pool, or coaching us. And he's got tough love. And that's what I appreciated, his tough love with us. And that's why I like to think I got tougher playing for him. But, it was, I really, really am so glad I got to play for him.
Well, I have to talk about that pool for a second, because we all have so many memories there. We still do. I do want to go up to the Selvig pool, and I do in the summer. And it's kind of a gathering place for all of us when we're in town, which is so much fun.
Mm-hmm. I know, he still keeps that thing looking so clean and like everything looks so good. So yeah, that's his baby. That pool is one of his babies.
Ryan and Miller, where are they now? Jordan Sullivan, our guest this week. Krista Redpath co-hosting with me, Colter Nuanez. You said something interesting there, Jordan, when we were talking about your freshman year and winning the 3 games, on an opposing court to go all the way to the NCAA tournament, and how you didn't really realize, how difficult tasks like that are until you sort of got into coaching. And that seemed to just be like the Montana way for both of you guys when you're playing for the Lady Grizz. So now that you're in coaching, you're probably trying to figure out, like, how do you get to that point? How do you get a team to refuse to lose, right? Like Mark Mariani and I talked about this a couple weeks ago too. He's like, I don't know how we did it. I don't know how we went 61-5 or whatever they went. You just kind of did it, and you didn't really actually know how cool it was until later on. It seems like you have a similar perspective.
It is like that. And when we play, just going into a tournament now, like it's hard to win that first game. Like, you got to get in there and have a great game and beat a great team and have everything go your way. And those boxes all have to be checked, and then to do it again and then do it again. I'm like, how even just the physical aspect of it is difficult. But I just think when you go into that and you're just like, not to a point of being cocky, but you're just like, oh yeah, this is what we have to do. This is what you do. And you just don't really think too much about it. Maybe that was that naiveness of being a player versus a coach. But yeah, now I'm like, good Lord, like we got to survive this first one. And then you just have that like in the back of your mind. And, you don't want your team to think that way. But as a coach, sometimes you just know, like, this is tough.
Well, one thing you guys had too, and it's been so interesting to see how the Big Sky Conference has evolved since they moved away from it. But the tournament used to always be hosted by the regular season champs. You knew that if you could get it in Missoula, you're going to have a huge advantage over everybody else. So being in somebody that played in, non-neutral site tournaments on home courts, but then also coached at the ones that are, in Reno and Boise, just compare and contrast those things for us.
Well, I know my senior year, we went to North Dakota and we played in the championship game there and we lost. And that was a real, I was like, damn, this is way better at home than going to play, I didn't feel it even as much at Portland State because we won there, we won that game and we won that tournament, but we got to North Dakota and it was tough and we had to, we didn't win. And I think that was really eye-opening, that experience. And then going to Reno and Boise, I mean, there's something about it, I can see where if you're not that first seed, like you go in there with, hey, we got a better chance here. But when you get to host, it is such an advantage. It's an awesome advantage. And it gave you something to play for and something to work for. And it really, it came down to the wire a few years too, where it's like every last game was going to dictate if you got to host. So I mean, as somebody that got to play in a hosted court, like I love that.
Certainly good memories from the past with Jordan Sullivan, and some good analysis too of since the Big Sky Conference moved to a neutral site tournament. After an accident, you wanted a tournament you could count on and trust. Someone who will fight for you and make sure you get the compensation you deserve while you focus on healing and getting back to your normal life. When you hire Ryan Miller Law, that's exactly what you get. If you've been injured in an accident, call Ryan Miller anytime, any day, and the help you need from their experienced legal team. Call 542-2233 anytime, 24/7. Also visit RyanMillerLaw.com. Ryan Miller Law, your Montana attorneys and trial attorneys. More with Jordan Sullivan and Chris Redpath on the other side. Don't change it out. Keep it right here. It's Nuanez Now. ESPN Radio.
Support your Montana Grizzly hockey team at the 3rd Annual Grizz Hockey Golf Scramble on June 29th at the University of Montana Golf Course. A shotgun start is scheduled for 9 a.m. with a catered lunch to follow play at 2. The cost is only $350 per foursome, which includes greens fees, a cart, beverages, lunch, along with Grizz Hockey swag. Visit grizzhockey.com today to register your foursome. It's the 3rd Annual Grizz Hockey Golf Scramble, June 29th at the University Golf Course.
Get ready, Montana. Place bets on your favorite teams and games, both collegiate and professional, with SportsBet Montana. With over 500 locations statewide, it's never been easier to get in on the action. Choose from spreads, money lines, parlays, and more. Excitement? You bet. Winning? You bet. Visit SportsBetMontana.com or download the app now. SportsBet Montana. Montana's exclusive.
Do you want me to give?
Troy McElroy knows what you can achieve through hard work as an athlete in a small town in Montana. The Troy native rose up to become an All-American safety for the Grizzlies.
Yeah, that's
and
usually the
championship team before spending time playing in the NFL. McElroy has also used those values in his work at McElroy Homes. Since 2003, McElroy Homes has helped contract and subcontract some of the city's finest houses. McElroy Homes is committed to offering quality custom service, quality products, and the best prices for any project. McElroy Homes is also a proud supporter of high school athletes around
I know.
the state of
I was like,
Montana.
dude, I can't come. I'm sorry. He's like, what?
Mark your
Where
calendars
are you
for a
going?
wonderful family activity on the 3rd weekend of July at the Miracle of America Museum in Polson, Montana. The 37th Annual Live History Days will include black dress, glass blowing, leatherworking, unique vintage trades,
So Pete Hamill owns Vertical Race, so we Vertical Race is like fundraiser.
music and
Yeah, we did it for track.
Okay.
and 21st for the
You
Miracle
have to
of
just
America
send
Museum's 37th Annual Live History Days.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Lindsay from The Stone. It's finally spring, and we're launching our new cocktail menu, filled with your old favorites, like the Irish Mule, with muddled limes, Jameson Irish whiskey, and ginger beer. Come have a cocktail and check out our new pool table, or bring the family and enjoy our famous fish and chips or Irish egg rolls. Happy hour is daily from 3 to 6 with great specials. The Stone, just a stone's throw away on North Reserve.
Affordable family fun entertainment. The Missoula Paddleheads are back in action with bigger promotions at a low price for the entire family. Baseball equals summer. Come enjoy a night under the lights at Oakland Park at Allegiance Field. First pitch for Tuesday through Thursday and Saturday games is scheduled for 7:05 with gates opening at 6. All Friday home gates will open at 5:30 and first pitch is at 7:05. Sunday matinee games will be at 2:05 with gates opening at 1. Tickets and more at GoPaddleheads.com.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
With a lead at the line, Montana State's Levi Taylor clinched a place in the NCAA Steeplechase Final. Hello, I'm Andrew Houghton. The first of two prelims on Wednesday at Hayward Field in Eugene, Oregon, Taylor moved up through the field on the home stretch and just missed Northeastern's Alexander Korzinski at the line to finish fifth and clinch the final automatic qualifying spot in Friday's final. Taylor, a senior from Laurel, finished in 8 minutes, 33.11 seconds. It was his third straight appearance at NCAA Nationals, and he'll now be in the Steeplechase Finals for the second time after also making it in 2022. The final will take place at 7:24 p.m. Mountain Time on Friday and will be broadcast nationally on ESPN2. Running in the same heat, Taylor's Bobcat teammate Rob McManus finished 7th, but it wasn't quite enough to get him to the finals. McManus' time of 8 minutes, 33.43 seconds placed him 13th among the two heats, making him the first man out. McManus still earned second-team All-American honors. The final Montana State runner in the steeplechase, junior Owen Smith, finished 23rd overall and was named an honorable mention All-American. And finally, Montana javelin thrower Evan Todd also closed his decorated career with honorable mention All-American honors. Todd's top throw of 214 feet and 1 inch placed him 22nd overall. It was the first appearance at Nationals for the senior from Kalispell.
This ESPN MT Sports Center is brought to you by the King Ranch Golf Course.
This is Nuanez now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
I got the Mavs in 7, but we do have a
resident Celtics fan here. So
I'm playing these weird Celtics songs I found on Spotify. So next one's hilarious.
I don't know if you listened to it today when I texted you. It's like this barbershop quartet. It's like a Celtics anthem.
Oh, I have it.
It's all about beating the
Lakers, which is such a funny thing.
The Bakers.
Nuanez now, ESPN Radio.
SWX television in the ESPN MT app. Chris Redpath in studio with me.
Nuanez, or Where Are They Now series, presented by Ryan and Miller Law. Our guest this week, Jordan Sullivan. She's an All-Big Sky player. The Montana Lady Grizz led Montana to several NCAA tournaments, and then went on to play overseas in Denmark and Luxembourg. We'll get into that here in just a minute. But I know that you sort of helped with, you ladies are also close, but Drew walked a very similar path as you did. And I know you mentored her a lot when she was making a decision to go overseas.
She's the closest to a sister that I've had, and I've definitely been tight with her. And Jean McNulty King is also someone that you have to give a lot of credit to because she's just a phenomenal agent.
She was on one of our guests on the series last year.
Yes, Hall of Famer for U of M, and she put me in an amazing situation over in Denmark. And Jordan also fit that role quite nicely. Just with the European game, and Jordan's a physical player. She likes to do all the little hustle things that are necessary to be successable in the European League. And just a great experience over there. It's interesting culture because I set her up with some of my friends, and so we have mutual experiences, different, like a decade difference in years. But just the people in Copenhagen, Denmark are incredible, and her host family is coming back to the U.S.
Which is so cool.
For her wedding next month, which is awesome.
More with Jordan Sullivan, Where Are They Now series presented by Ryan and Miller Law. Your Montana attorneys, visit ryanmillerlaw.com.
We have not talked about your professional basketball career and you wanting to continue to play, and you still have that drive in you. I was pushing for you to go to Denmark because that's where I played, and just looking at your career and signing with Jean McNulty King, which is who a lot of us look to for guidance. But you certainly found a great situation in Copenhagen, Denmark.
Yeah, I was very lucky to get, Jean helped me find that spot, and then knowing you that played there and could give me some advice, talk about your own experience, so I knew it was coming. It was really, I really wish I would have done it longer. Like, that's one thing I wish I would have done longer, and I tell players now, like, if you're even thinking about it, go do it. And if you're still kind of on the fence, keep doing it, because you can't get those days back, and it's way harder to get out and then try to get back into it than just going straight into it. But I love Copenhagen, and it was really like leaving Montana for the first time ever, and then going to Copenhagen. Speaking a little English. It's a huge city. I'm trying to navigate. It was so good for me to have to go be independent, and it was really hard. And I had some tough days. I remember like calling you and like, this is really hard, but as you get over that hump, you realize what an awesome opportunity it is to go and play a sport in another country and get paid to do it. It's just like, I've never seen, so I'm really grateful for that opportunity.
Culturally, what was the most interesting part about Denmark? What was something that was different than maybe you did?
Okay, here's something. When I first got there, like, we'll have a bike for you, and I'm like, okay, great. Like, I know how to ride a bike. Like, I can get around on a bike. It was like the Tour de France out there, and I'm just like in these packs of bikes. The very first day, I'm like biking to practice, and I just like got caught up in this big group of bikes and crashed. And I was just like, oh, I'm not doing that anymore. Because I'm like, yeah, I can bike. I know how to bike, but I'm not.
Good, yeah.
I have Missoula, just going and pack like 30 bikes and just
they're getting out
dog eat dog kind of thing. So after that, I literally
it'll be a lot
walk
better,
like 6 miles. I'm like, nope, I'll walk. I'll leave earlier because I'm not getting another bike crash.
It's so hard. It's so interesting. I had to play. I played at Virum, which you're very familiar with, in Copenhagen or north of Copenhagen, and I'd have to go up to a gym that was about a mile north to coach. And I would jog up there, and people would look at me and say, "What's wrong? Why are you running?" Like, I might be out for a run, but people don't go for runs in neighborhoods. In Denmark, it was more of a alert, like, what are you running from? Are you in trouble? It's just so interesting, just the different cultures.
Yeah.
I also remember, like, I'd get on the bus sometimes to go, take the bus from point A to point B, and then you'd have to walk the rest of the way, but I would go in my basketball gear because we're going to practice, so I'd just be in my sweats and, like, look really grungy, just ready for basketball. I didn't care, and I'd, like, put myself together, and everyone on the bus would just stare at me, and I'm like, I'm going to basketball practice, but they were all always, like, dressed to the nines, and dressed so nicely, so I always stuck out like a sore thumb that way.
And Jordan, I bet by the end of your years you were dressing differently, because I know that I was wearing tights and dresses and skirts more often over there.
Yeah, that was normal. People would come to practice in like skirts and stuff. I'm like,
it's me.
Whatever. I'm not doing that.
And I feel like
I remember one FaceTime conversation we had. I have to bring this up because Facebook reminds me, and I love that about Facebook, but September 27th, 2014, it was the day after your first game. You had 16 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4 steals, and you won. And I just remember that, and I took a picture of our FaceTime. But, I mean, you had a lot of success. You guys went far in the Cup championship. And you just had a really run over there, and you stayed for two seasons.
I was in Denmark
like
for
the
the run,
very,
and then I
very
went to
best,
Luxembourg.
but let's move on from that era now.
But I hurt my knee at the end of that Danish season. We
Right.
had
I'm ready to
we were doing
move
well,
Or like
and I
somebody
remember I
from
hurt
your
my knee and had to miss.
Because Ian's like what, 5 years older than you, 4 years older than you?
This
Yeah,
guy
it
was
was
my age, and so it's
a different
That's
style
kind
of
of like, they
basketball.
both
It was,
got, right? So they're the two Hall of
I
Famers.
don't
to
think
add
anybody
to
in our group.
the whole experience of
Well,
playing.
those are the two girls.
Yeah,
that-
those are the
the
two.
actually
They're
my
the two.
host family
Yeah, right.
is coming to our wedding this summer from Denmark.
Oh, sure.
So that's like,
Yeah, right.
honestly,
It's time to go
all
on
the,
like
anything
Tyler May.
living in Denmark and playing basketball in Denmark, like
Katie
that's the
Edwards.
coolest thing that could ever happen and come from it is
She's
they're
gotta
gonna
be
come now to
close.
the United States
The
and
problem
we're
is she's
wedding,
never the
so
best player on the
super
team, 'cause you
super
guys
excited. I haven't seen them since I lived there.
I would say Holly Tyler to me is a man Mandy,
She
I
is.
would say Mandy
Oh,
Morales
Mandy.
would be the one for sure.
Mandy to me is
But I just
over.
think we've moved along in other sports.
The pace was one thing. Like we were just like sprinting the whole
Why
time. It
have
was
we
like,
not like broken in?
I mean, we.
For basketball,
It's not like we
Lady Griz,
played
it's all been
super slow at
like,
Montana,
super
but
ready.
like we were
So I'm, yeah,
we also like
I'll change
came
that
down,
for
set up
family
play,
nominated,
like ran it,
because it's a nomination.
used the shot clock, like those kind of things.
So I
But it
guarantee
was just
that
like,
that's what happened.
I think it was a shorter
I don't
shot
know if
clock,
anyone
and it was just like go,
nominated Mandy or
go,
Holly,
go,
they might
go.
have.
And if I wasn't just
And if
sprinting,
they'll
my
just
coach
put
was
them
just like,
back,
sprint.
the
And he
more
would
they
always
get
call me
people
the
smarter
Jordan.
at, or like,
Sprint,
play
Jordan.
culture. I just feel like culture is good,
And
but
I'm
like,
like,
people are like,
like just remember, like being gassed, even in warm-ups, we
Yeah,
just
no, I know what
sprint
you're
in
saying.
warm-ups, and I'm like,
Hall of
it's
Fame
just
is
a
like-
warm-up, but that was definitely something, that pace, and
I
then
mean, even Jean
this is
was
also
the
odd,
best
but I
judge,
just
but she
remember
did
I had
track
to
and
hard edge
athlete.
every
She
ball
was
stream.
a big
Like,
MVP, so
Yeah.
and then when I went to Luxembourg, like I had a hard time breaking that habit. They're
So
like, why do you hedge everything? And I'm like,
Shannon was the best one.
because I had to hard hedge like every time. So I remember that very specifically being different too from just what I did in college.
Definitely more of a business when you get to the professional level. I think it's expected you get almost 20 points, 10 rebounds a game. But I also remember Jordan,
her,
just
like,
people ramming into the key and going full force to the basket, and people saying that's a great play. And I'm going, I don't know what, I mean, this is a foreign country, but would not be a good play in the U.S. It's having to adjust to that in that aggressive physicality that wasn't always
I think
graceful.
Mandy's the best.
I think charges weren't. That was such a thing that we were. You know, it was like a big deal to take charges in college with Rob. And then over there, like, that wasn't a thing. And I'm like, I would get so upset. And I remember one time I just got plowed over by someone, like went flying, and the rest like, that is just how she plays. I'm like, that doesn't matter. Like that's still a charge. Like I remember getting so mad, but I know people. There were some differences. Like there were some habits that were.
Here's a good stat for you.
I was taught were
I
not
never
good
watched
habits
Damian
that
Lillard win a game
we were
live.
supposed to do.
Not one
So,
time. He was
knows?
0-7 in my time.
Then when he ultimately just decided to come back.
Because they got beaten
Was it law
both
school that brought you back?
years when I was in the Chronicle. They got beaten Missoula every time they came here.
So I was just gonna say, I was
Yeah, that was big. Like I said,
Yeah,
just
and then
being
in the
kind of
tournament,
worried
they lost
about,
to
you
the
know,
Grizz 2
and
years in a
basketball was
row.
not going to make me all this money over there. It was just a
Well, you know
great
what?
thing to go do and be able to save a little bit of money. So it was like, okay, this isn't going to be long term, so figure it out. And that's what I thought I had to do was come back, and I knew I had to take time to study, get, you know, into law school, and then actually the process of getting in and going and deciding where to go. It just kind of psyched me out that that was such a process, so I just kind of sped it up and said I need to go start doing that now.
What's her name again?
Hazel
I got
Yeah, that's the one Linda
But she was
has.
like 13.
yeah, that's what brought me back. And I miss my family. Like that's the part where
She got off
it's
of
hard
Boise
to be
State,
away.
Colorado State,
But
Auburn,
you know, I think now
Alabama,
like you can miss your family wherever you are. You should have done it longer.
by SEC, and the
At
Grizz
the
can't
University of
offer.
Utah this year, Jordan, you had
Guys,
23
I'm also
wins,
Grizz
and a
brother
huge
Trish.
part of that
Feels
was
like
the
she's
play
like perfect
of Alyssa
Trish.
Keeley,
Trish
who
not
I don't know,
it's
'cause
just
she's
been
like a
so
dribble
fun
drive,
to
scoring
watch
20
her
yards, like
explode in the
perfect.
WNBA for the Minnesota Lynx. I mean, right now they're 6-2 and first in the West, and it's been fun to watch her.
No, she ever-
Utah All-American, fastest player to score 1,000 points, and I mean, just there's so many different stats. She averaged over 20 points a game, but I think more than anything, she's been an inspiration to the Samoan and Alaskan culture that has just been huge for youth, Indigenous youth. But can you talk a little bit about coaching a player at that level
They
and
got her
watching
sister.
her excel in the WNBA?
She's like the top 100 player.
Yeah, when she,
No
I
idea
remember
what's
watching
going
her
on.
in high school.
She's like
At
a
an
five-star
NBA
recruit.
tournament, and like, who is that girl? And she was a junior in high school, and I knew she was getting recruited by everyone in the country, and she was just a phenom then. So getting to see her then, and then kind of, you know, it's not like I coached against her the first couple of years, but then she had just come into Utah like right before I got the job here.
Did you know Mandy?
And so I was like, oh, you know, she's
She
awesome.
also
Like, I
doesn't,
remember her.
she
She's a good
doesn't put
player.
up with like that.
Kind of lost track of her a little
Mom
bit.
basket,
She
like,
was the first couple years of college.
she's probably like,
But she worked
how
so
old are you,
hard.
like
She
19?
came to Utah
Because
and
Mandy
was committed
she's a
to getting
great
herself
old
back in really good
guy.
shape.
She
Worked her
she
butt
would've
off to
been
do
done
that so
in
she could be,
2006.
you know, get back to what she was capable of. And
Yeah,
her footwork and some of her skills that she has developed, like from a young age, were just, I just haven't seen anything like it. And what she's been able to do, you know, on her own, and then coming here and just elevating her skill set to be more versatile and a whole well-rounded player. I mean, there's things like, I don't even know how she learned it. Like, where did you get that? So she just played against the boys her whole life, played football, like did some things that really shaped her to be different. And she's different. Like she's different than anyone I've ever coached. Coached against. And then that's the other part that you're talking about, just her inspiration, you know, how she inspires young people. Like when we would go play at other places, I'm not kidding, like the crowds that would stick around to meet her after the games. Usually I'd be in the locker room, like get out to the bus, but once in a while I'd have somebody to come say hi to. And so I'd see that and I was just like, it must be the closest thing I've ever seen to a celebrity, like in real life, like right there, because people were just like begging for pictures, wanting a signature, like wanting her autograph, and just it was incredible to witness that. And so a couple of times, I'm like, now that I see this, I'm sticking around to see it again. The next place we go, because it's just so. I mean, how does that not pull something out of you emotionally to see like this really, like you're impacting people like this, how you know, but it's what you don't know. Like the people that aren't here, like you're impacting so many people that you don't even understand you're impacting. And that's what this is all about. And so getting to see that up close and personal, I'm so proud of her. And she's, you know, she had a breakout game the other night.
We don't need to have, like, you're not.
And I know, but, you know, she's not there playing. Like for us, she barely came off the floor, and that's not how it is right now for her. And so she's learning to go through that process and, you know, keep grinding it out. Like your time's gonna come, your number's gonna get called, and then it did the other night. And she had 20 points in 15 minutes and had a phenomenal game. So. Just having that kind of leadership, you know, for young women and for our program and for fans and all the people. I'm just I feel lucky that I got to be anywhere close to it and see it.
Coaching and teaching. It's certainly been a different buzz this year for the WNBA. It has, I feel like the level of excitement has really just exploded over this last year. In some ways, it's something I've always known. It's what you've known as well, Jordan. But we call it the Caitlin Clark movement, or I'm calling it that, because I do feel as if her contributions to the game have been huge in her time at Iowa. But, you know, now I'm watching Angel Reese, I'm watching Cameron Brink, I'm watching all these players just really own it and just enjoy that spotlight. But can you talk a little bit about that side of it and what you see from your perspective?
Yeah, I think the Caitlin Clark effect is just like it or not, like that's what it is. And she's doing so much for the game, and I know everyone has different opinions about Caitlin Clark, but it's like no matter what you think, you can't deny what she's doing for the game. And if you love her, you're watching her, and if you don't like her, you're still watching her. So it's been fun to be in the thick of it when it's really just expanding and becoming just a normal thing for people to put on in their homes and pull the TV.
So I'm just saying, like,
watch it,
people like that.
Even myself, like the last couple of years, like I've watched more WNBA than I ever have. Like I'll admit that. But it's like normal conversation with people that just hasn't been before. So it's super exciting to know that women's sports and women's basketball is on the rise, and that's what it should be. So it's fun to get to, you know, be in it.
Wilson, I have bad occasion.
Trying to negotiate a deal.
It's highest the last couple of years.
These people like skins and people like, hey,
and the world of college athletics continues to evolve. So much of it's driven by football and realignment, and now Utah's on the move. So what's it been like being, you know, part of sport that has such stability and is rising so much, but then also part of this environment where nobody really knows what's going to happen? I mean, obviously it's good things for Utah ahead, but I mean, there is just a lot of sort of uncertainty around all of it.
So I have our Zoom already.
I mean, I think for me, I'm like, here I am 2 years in, finally like figuring out the conference, and figuring out some things, and then, you know, we're going to Big 12 now, and it's not like we could really predict that. It's not like anybody could just predict what was going to happen and prepare for it, really. So I think you just go with it. You just kind of don't know what you don't know, and prepare the same way. You prepare your team and you recruit people the same way, and try to stick to your core values and all of it, and just get ready to, hey, we're going to the Big 12. It's going to be, you know, there's going to be some unknowns, but we are who we are, and we just got to keep being who we are. And what changes around us, you can't control it. So you gotta stick to those things you know and stay positive through it all, because there's a lot of people going through it, and no one can really do anything about it. So what kind of approach do you want to have with it? positive or do you want to be negative? Like, that's just kind of the choice that we have.
More with Jordan Sullivan, we're in the Now Series, presented by Ryan and Miller Law. We also have a community spotlight all summer long, presented by Vertical Raise. Vertical Raise, the elite online fundraising platform. No matter what sort of organization you have, sports or otherwise, they can help you raise more money than anybody else. Appreciate Pete and the boys over at Vertical Raise. Find out more information. Visit verticalraise.com. Who's our community spotlight this
Our
week?
community spotlight is the Juanita Roberts Foundation, inspiring excellence, empowering dreams. We all know a good friend to the show, Linda Weiler Jacobson. She launched LWJ Productions and Recruiting Consulting in March of 2022, which is dedicated to offering high school athletes aspiring to play in college a comprehensive resource and consulting hub. And her mission is to provide the tools for athletes to be seen and build quality relationships with college coaches and acquire valuable lessons in time management, all of those pieces that have to do with it. Well, in 2024, she launched a foundation in honor of her mother, which is amazing. And this is a nonprofit that is looking to provide funds to assist student athletes with all the costs that come into the recruiting. And so basically it's scholarshiping athletes. And if anyone knew Juanita, they would know that she was a woman of faith and a true giver. She worked she had a lifelong commitment to as a child advocate. She worked in the protective service industry, and it just is very fitting that Linda, just 2 years later would launch this foundation in her mother's name. One thing I do want to note about Linda, she's 16 for 16, Coulter, with placing high school athletes in their right college place. And so if you look at what she's done, it's just this whole foundation is just, it builds on all the goodness that she's bringing to our community. So if you want to learn more about that, it's best to email info@lwjvideo.com, or I'm going to post some information to all of our social media so we can get the word out that we are looking for donations to spread the word and provide access scholarships and senior empowerment scholarships for these incredible athletes.
Or with Linda Weiler, a little later on.
She will be one of our subjects on this summer's Where They Now. We're with Jordan Sullivan right after this.
It's time for the Montana Comfort Food and Game Day Drink Specials. Every Saturday and Sunday, the club's Grizzly Arena, Huckleberry,
But there's nothing to push back.
and Bloody
After
Mary's,
the top of the hour, that's
or
actually
Ceremony Festival,
great.
fries, great Montana sticks, or a tender prime rib sandwich. And don't forget the cheese fries, so many Montana Club. So get into the Montana Club today for an unrivaled flavor experience.
Okay, you want to stay until after the segment?
Missoula.
Simon from Craven's Coffee is celebrating 30 years of passion for coffee.
I don't think you can do this 3 decades without having just a really intrinsic passion for the coffee and for everything that it encompasses, for everything from these countries where it has grown to farmers and the farm families and the port staff and the cooperatives and then the export people who tie things in with the mill who then deal with the importers. What we've always tried to do is keep the minimum number of levels between us and the farmer. We ideally want it to be full. So it's the farmers going to the exporter and the importer coming to us. So it's more money for the farmer because you get more money to the farm gate, but also you've got more of a direct relationship. You can start directly trading with them, beneficial for all parties.
Find your favorite Craven's Coffee blends at grocery stores, restaurants, and coffee shops, and online at cravenscoffee.com.
You've got a debit card and phone app. Does a brick and mortar bank really matter? You bet your boots it does. Step inside any one of our Farmer State Bank's 10 unique locations. Open a new account, apply for a loan, rent the safety deposit box, or arrange for the trip of a lifetime. Personal service and attention to detail, along with all the mobile and electronic services you've come to rely on. Farmer State Bank.
Just tell him, I don't know if you
Since
remember me or not.
1907, member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
The King Range Golf Course isn't just for
Just say
golfers.
that
You're invited to
Yeah,
host
just
an
tell yourself.
exclusive
There's good
offers
advice.
picturesque Clark Fork River scenery, the dining room perfect for showers.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
Parties,
just gotta be it.
parties. Planning a wedding? There's a large outdoor dining space and luxurious Airbnb stone for accommodations. For more information about leagues, season or daily fees, or to to reserve a table menu, give the King Ranch Golf Course a call. 406-666-4000.
Hall of Fame that he was in.
Andrew Houghton on Nuanez Now. What makes it so puzzling to me is that the Big Sky is not even sending guys to the NFL commensurate with their standing in the FCS. The Big Sky is pretty clearly the second best conference in the FCS, and they're right up there with the Missouri Valley. And the Big Sky is better than the CU, better than the SoCon. Well, both those conferences sent more guys to the NFL than the Big Sky did. That does not match up to our conception of these programs actually on the field, and that's what's so puzzling to me.
This is my life. Barbershop Quartet, the Traveling Groove Band, copyright 1986, which happened to be, in my humble opinion, the greatest basketball team in the history of basketball.
I was 9 years old. And it was a real like instrumental year for me.
I mean,
I truly think that I don't know if it's the greatest team ever, but it's one of the 5 best teams in NBA history. 86 Celtics.
I mean, if you look at Bird, McHale, Parrish, Johnson, Ainge, I mean, it was just a dream team.
Celtics and Mavericks NBA Finals coming up about 6:30. We'll get into that in hour number 2. We'll finish up on Where Are They Now series. Jordan Sullivan, our guest, a all-time great Lady Grizz player and now an assistant coach at the University of Utah. Our Where Are They Now series presented all summer long by Ryan Miller Law. Ryan Miller, Paul Ryan, and Angie Miller truly care about their clients and their community. It's important that their firm they can support local Montanans and surrounding the communities. Every year they find ways to give back to this community and support the city of Missoula and Western Montana. Their list of giving is over 100 organizations. More with Jordan Sullivan right now.
Can you speak to the nil side of the game and what that's done for recruiting and what that's specifically done for the University of Utah?
So,
Yeah, I can. I can speak to it a little bit. I mean, it's so important, I think, that there's opportunities now for student athletes to get, to make money off of their name, image, and likeness. Like, that's a no-brainer to me that there should be opportunities for that. And people are making the most of it. And, there's people that really are making a future for themselves because of it, and good for them.
really concerned
Do
do I think it's
gotten a little out of control? Yes. Do I think that, how it shapes recruiting and some of the horror stories that I've heard from it, there's 2 sides of it, and so I think it was put into place for a very good reason, and it was necessary, and I also think, it's gotten a little out of control, and so recruiting in this time is, there's different challenges that haven't been before, but they're for everyone, and everyone's trying to navigate them and figure it out, so it just keeps everyone on their toes, that's for sure, trying to figure out, how to keep up with it all.
Brilliance of radio.
I do think the trajectory of the game has changed and shifted, but I look at someone like you that is so relationship oriented.
Like what's
To know you is to love you.
It's so corny, but you just get it in your head.
Because you put that on your
They have a million of them that are the same.
You have hope for us to really follow through.
Isn't it coming back to that though, Jordan, now, where we've come full circle in a way where it just comes down to relationships? You're re-recruiting your roster every single year now. It's a fact about college sports. It's a fact about
until I did, I
basketball
found it now. So
and so I look at a coach like you and a person like you
that's
that
fine. But I can make up some
on
stuff
those
to bridge the gap
relationships,
as well.
and that becomes even more of a factor as you try to retain players and
We're
attract
starting
the
it next
right
week. So I'm going to
kind
text her
of
tomorrow.
players to the
She
University of
did
Utah.
get back to me last week and she said, Paul,
Yeah, I think the relationship piece is why I got into it. It's what I loved about my college experience and playing for I'm here to see and that's why everyone still has a relationship with him. Years after playing for him, and I was so inspired by that, and that was so much of why I wanted to do it. That I do have to, it can get so busy and distracting from that being the main point, and it's so important to stay true to yourself in that amidst the distractions and amidst all the extra noise that comes in nowadays. But if that's why you're doing it, then you gotta, that's what's important to you. And it is more important than ever, like you said, to, you have to have relationships with your current team. It's not like, and you always have had to. That's nothing new, but it's more important than ever that those are maintained and nurtured and cultivated, because it's easy to leave. It's just easier to leave, and that's just a fact. And so, it's an interesting time that way. But I do think, like, our head coach is she's like, double down on who we are. Like, when it gets to this, we need to just double down on who we are. And this is what's been important for us. This is what's built this program and got it going to be this top 25 team. And that's what we have to stick to, even when it's not easy. You gotta stick to that, because that's all you got. If you can't stick to, your guns and be true to yourself, then at the end of the day, what are you hanging your hat on? And so I appreciate that so much about Lynn Roberts and having that guidance. That's what she expects from us, and we're not swaying away from that. And it's important to me. So having that kind of leadership has been absolutely, it's just very important for me to have that here, to be able to do what I'm doing.
Jordan, I hope that you still have an amazing candy jar on your desk, because you got one at the University of Montana, and I put it in, and I got more piece of candy, but I hope that you still have one on your desk, because I bet your players love to come in. And
when you talk about relationships, that is the key driver there, to get people to come say hi.
I love that.
Gotta have some candy. No, I still have a candy bowl. I have 2 of them now. Double down. So, you guys are around here, you better stop in.
Well, when it comes to now, you've been doing this for 10 years. What's probably hard to put a finger on it, just because there is so many unknowns in the coaching world. But I mean, what are just some broad thoughts and goals for the next 5 or 10 years for you? Obviously, you want to keep coaching.
Yeah, I get asked this, and I'm like, I should probably have a better, like, more clear answer, but I try to just be in the moment. And of course, there's, I want to be a head coach someday. Like, that's the goal. I don't know how short or far distance goal that is, but I'm really enjoying just being somewhere where I'm still learning a lot. And, anybody you work for, you're always going to learn something new, wherever you go. And there's so much to take in, and just being around, not just Coach Roberts, but the staff, and the players. You're just always learning, and being a sponge to the game is the key, I think. So as long as I'm still learning, which I don't know how I couldn't, then I'm growing and I'm getting better in some regard, and that's just gonna help me for when the time comes to do the next thing, whenever that is, wherever that is. That's the thing about coaching, you don't really know.
Jordan Sullivan, where are they now? What an awesome interview. If you missed anything in any interview, you can find it on the Nuanez podcast. Appreciate Ryan Miller Live for the continued support of all things ESPN Missoula and ESPN Montana, as well as being the presenting sponsor of our Where Are They Now series. Also, Ryan Miller Live approaches every case like it's going to trial from day one. This ensures they're always prepared and ready to press forward on their cases to get their clients the justice they deserve. Reach them by phone anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 542-2233. Ryan Miller Live, your Montana attorneys, are one of the books after coming at you. Chris Redpath's going to stick around for a little bit. We'll talk some NBA finals on the other side. Don't change that out. Keep it right here. ESPN Radio. That was great. She was awesome.
Snow melting and spring cleaning or updating? Liberty Electric is here for any and all of your electrical needs, no matter the season. Whether you're looking to upgrade your air conditioner for the summer, invest in a backup generator for those powerless nights due to storms, or need that lighting upgraded to LED, the professionals at Liberty Electric are ready to offer their services. Call 406-541-WIRE. That's 406-541-9473.
I call myself a confident backseat driver. Mom, brakes, please. But I'm less confident in the economy.
Same here, buddy.
Thankfully, Les Schwab Tires helps make sure that our safety never takes a backseat, even when we're watching our wallets.
Roll into summer. Save up to $200 instantly on a wide selection of tires and wheels. Les Schwab Tires. Limited time offer. Terms and conditions apply. Details at leschwab.com/sale.
What's up, Missoula? This is Junior Bergen from your Montana Grizzlies. Did you know for just $31 a month, you can get unlimited car washes at Dazzlers? I always take my Jeep to Dazzlers. It's the most efficient and most thorough car wash in the entire city of Missoula. Download the new Dazzlers app for as little as $31 a month. You can get unlimited car washes. And for $37 a month, you can get the best car wash Dazzlers has available. Treat your car like it deserves to be treated at Dazzlers Car Wash in Missoula. It's the most efficient and most thorough car wash in the entire city of Missoula.
You're head coach. So we should both go. Like, why can't we both do this?
Hey, it's Lindsay from The Stone. It's finally spring, and we're launching our new cocktail menu, filled with your old favorites, like the Irish Mule, with muddled limes, Jameson Irish whiskey, and ginger beer. Come have a cocktail and check out our new pool table, or bring the family and enjoy our famous fish and chips or Irish egg rolls. Happy hour is daily from 3 to 6 with great specials. The Stone, just a stone's throw away on North Reserve.
Anyone who knows goes on a Lady Grizz. You obviously don't know
Aspiring student need a convenient, affordable place to live while attending the University of Montana? Look no farther than Rome Student Housing. Located on Clark Street, just a 10-minute walk from the UM campus and from downtown Missoula, Rome offers a variety of living options for UM students. High-speed Wi-Fi and a TV package with more than 100 channels, including the NFL Network, comes with your unit, and each unit has a full-size washer and dryer, plus its own full bathroom. Rome offers friendly apartments too. For more information, visit liveatrome.com.
Missoula City Band is excited to announce its summer concert series, carrying on a tradition of free, open-air concerts that has lasted over a century. Every Wednesday evening at the Bonner Park Band Shell from June 12th to August 7th. Supported by the City of Missoula and talented local musicians, the Missoula City Band series will commence with a preseason Missoula Big Band event on June 12th, followed by weekly performances featuring the City Band and guest soloists. Feel free to bring chairs and immerse yourself in the delightful music and refreshing ambiance that makes summer in Missoula truly special.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM.
I was going to ask you about a couple more. One for back in Taylor Brown. I'm asking about Porzingis. Yeah. Who you jolly good with?
ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
If somehow Chris Stapleton ends up on the Missoula concert slate this summer, just take all my money. I can't believe we're getting, if you're to name like my 10 favorite country artists in the whole world, 4 of them are coming to Missoula in the span of 5 weeks. Dwight Yoakam in middle July, you're just listening to right there. Then we got Tyler Childers, Washington University Stadium in late August. Then you get Virgil Simpson late September and Coulter Wall to end September. Unbelievable. Can't believe how good the concert scene has become here in the Garden City. Welcome back to Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. Appreciate you for hanging out with us here on this Thursday. This is the first hour of the show. A whole bunch of talk with Jordan Sullivan, all-time great Lady Grizz, City Montana native, multiple-time NCAA qualifier at Montana, and now has been coaching biz for about a decade at the University of Utah. Has done great things there, gone to multiple Sweet 16s, helped Elisa Peely become a top 10 draft pick of the WNBA. And this is all around great gal. I've known Jordan for a really long time. She is the same age as my brother, so I remember watching her AAU team with Jocelyn Tinkle and Tori Hill and all those great Montana girls, and then they went on and they did it at Montana. And it's a pretty cool story, and she remains just such a down-to-earth and awesome gal. So appreciate Jordan for spending time with us. You can always find all that on the Nuanez Now podcast, which is probably presented by the M Store, where they're all Grizz all the time. Shop online, MontanaMStore.com. Montana State Bookstore, your best place for blue and gold on game day or any other day. Shop online at MSBookstore.org. And Schulte Law Firm. Had a bad day in a car accident, was her fault. Visit JSchulteLaw.com. Chris Beth remains in the studio with me. She remains wearing her Larry Legend jersey. You gotta love it.
This jersey, I was 11 when I got it.
Wow.
Actually, so I kept. I mean, it's so long. It must have come down to my ankles, to my knees right now. But just it means a lot. I've let my kiddo wear it.
Is he your all-time favorite Celtic?
He is my all-time. Actually, I have to say, Coulter, when I was growing up, my bedroom was the bird's nest, and I would cut out newspaper clippings and tape them to my wall. Of all of back when the newspaper would show up.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, no, I was always a fan. And I think I obviously got that from my dad. He had a lot of basketball on, so that was just my mom's.
Did you like the Celtics too?
He did, yeah, he's a Celtics fan. And, we just had we had basketball on, and then I was gifted a rubber Larry Bird basketball, and I used to take it out in my slanted driveway and turn on the ghetto blaster and pretend like I was playing the Lakers. I'm not kidding. I'd set up chairs and scenarios, and I'd be like one-on-one game scenarios of like me playing for the Celtics. Like I thought I could play for the Celtics.
So here's my conundrum. I've always thought in my head that I actually don't like the Celtics. It's just natural because that's just, the Celtics are just one of those sports franchises where they've had so much success. You don't you hate them. There's so many Celtics fans. There's so many Celtics fans around Montana. I'm always trying to convince myself I don't like the Celtics. But then I think back on my favorite players. I mean, if I'm making a list of my top 20 favorite NBA players ever, probably the two guys that I love that I never really watched play live in person are Larry Bird and Bill Walton. So it's pretty hard for me to say that I think Kevin Garnett is one of my 5 favorite players ever. So, maybe I don't hate the Celtics.
And that big three, speaking of Garnett, with Ray Allen and Paul Pierce, the truth, 2008, I mean, that was the last championship for the Celtics.
If I was to make a top 10 list
of my all-time favorite sports writing articles of all time, I'll send this to you. I'll also send this to you. We have a special guest that's interning with us that's in studio. That's why I'm pointing at if you're watching on television. But the article is called Truth Revealed. It was all about Paul Pierce and the journey he went through pre that championship when he got stabbed. Remember when he got stabbed? And like all he had to come over it, but that's Paul Price. I thought I didn't like Paul Pierce. I read that article. I'm like, I love Paul Pierce. This guy is an absolute warrior. Like, what an awesome and competitive character. So here we are now, though, and it is crazy because the Celtics have been back to the finals several times since their last championship, but it has now been 16 years since they last won one. We were talking earlier about Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, but I do think that this specific group has this distinct dynamic to it because they made it to the conference finals several times, but they were just these upstart young guys. They had a lot of leeway because, okay, your core is like 22, 23. We got all these years. And they kept acquiring assets and kept getting there. Then they made it to the finals. Then Ime Udoka gets fired. Now they have this whole new thing. And we'll get to Joe Missoula in a little bit because he's so polarizing to me. We'll get to that in just a minute. But now here we are. You got Jaylen Brown wrapped up for hundreds of millions of dollars. Tatum is about to get a $300 million contract this summer, no matter what happens. You traded for Kristaps Porzingis. You got Drew Holiday just by a stroke of luck. Now it's now or never. Like, this team, the rope is done. Like, they have to win this title right now.
Right. And also Derek White.
For sure. Derek White.
I mean, I feel like
he is the perfect NBA role player.
Because he can take over a game, plays hard defense, but he doesn't need to be the man.
Right. I do think that you just nailed it, though, Coulter, is defense. Because when this Celtics team wants to turn it up and defend, they are relentless. And that's the problem with the 86 games in the regular season. You don't see it. And an issue with the Celtics team is sometimes I feel like they disappear on the defensive end. They're just launching threes. It's like get to the rim. So there's been some equally polarizing and frustrating parts of the Celtics team as well. And I think against a team like Dallas that's going to bring it and is playing their best basketball. I don't even really Kyrie Irving. I mean, that is also a Celtic, not a bad word, but it certainly isn't something that Celtic fans feel good about.
No doubt. One of the Kyrie Irving's had this roller coaster career. Certainly one of the blotches on it is his time in Boston. It didn't go well. It certainly didn't end well. That's an interesting dynamic, though, because you got Kyrie going back to Boston. You got Porzingis going back to Dallas. There's all these rumors that Luka Doncic and Porzingis don't like each other. So there's going to be some hostile home court. There's going to be some fans saying some interesting stuff to the opponents in this series.
I do think it's going to be really intense. And I look at Kyrie. I have to say this about Kyrie Irving. I'm not a fan. So I'm just going to put it out there right now. I am not a Kyrie Irving fan. But I will give him credit this year. He looks more settled than I've seen him. And he is playing incredible basketball.
We were talking about this yesterday. The most interesting part about Kyrie Irving is he's certainly one of the most skilled players the NBA has ever seen. That's undeniable. He's unbelievably skilled. When he either has to be the man on a team or he thinks he's the man on the team, that's a bad scenario. When he knows he's not the best player, it's only happened to him twice. That happened because he's played with two of the 10 best guys ever, LeBron James and Luka Doncic. But he is good at default. That's why I think he's had this resurgence, because he knows that Doncic is the man.
Well, I don't know so? You really think so? You really think that that's the dynamic? Because
I just think that they all have fallen in line around Luka.
And I think he's playing at a level that very few players have ever reached in the NBA. He's
playing
playing at an all-time great level right now.
And I have to say, PJ Washington's impressed me at times. I mean, he stepped in, and how about that killer trade? I mean, that was really timely for what they needed in that specific role for Dallas.
Chris Redpath is studio with us here on
Nuanez now.
The thing is the thing you can say about Luka, that why he's playing such an unbelievable level right now, is he's the best. I mean, he's been the best scorer in the NBA all year long. He won the scoring title. He's averaged like 37 points per game in this playoffs. Yeah, he still averages almost 10 assists a game. Like PJ Washington looks like an all-star. You know,
he's making others look better. So that's the thing about Luka. I have to give Luka credit.
No doubt. He's making everybody go. Lively is playing out of his mind. Kyrie looks good, especially in the second half of games. I mean, Derrick Jones is playing out of his mind. Like, it's crazy the guys that have had these resurgences because of all the attention Luka draws, but also just the facilitation and all that. So if you're Boston, who do you start with on Luka Doncic?
Well, that's a good question. So he's 6'7". You know, I look at even Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown with their 6'7", 6'8". So I think you got to put one of them on Luka.
I agree. I think you have to start with Brown.
Probably Brown. That's what I was going to say. Is I'd probably put Brown on him. Just a little higher motor.
Yes.
You get some of the passing angles. Just has a tendency to kind of really. You have to really make it difficult for Luka to just be Luka. And you have to make it more challenging than normal because he is a phenomenal player. So I would say definitely Brown.
I think you got to go with Brown. I mean, their two best defenders are Drew Holiday and Derek White, but those two guys they're 5 inches shorter.
Well, that's just what I was going to say because Holiday has been a complete defensive role player for us.
Yeah.
I mean, he has done things at times where we've really needed him, but overall, I think that they just, and I look at Missoula, I mean, he's the one who just alluded to this on his press conference earlier today, is we all have to be clicking on the defensive end. And that's something that is true for this Boston team. I mean, there's breakdowns that we've had breakdown over breakdown defensively, and I think everyone has to be really playing their best.
What do you think of him as a head coach?
Well, I think it's more difficult than it looks to.
Oh, it is definitely. It is way difficult.
I think he's a level head when he needs to, and he's got their buy-in, Coulter.
He
So
definitely
really,
has their
at the
buy-in.
end of the day, isn't that all you need if you're an NBA coach?
My two big criticisms of Jones are, one, the Celtics go to an elite level defensively that is like literally no one else in the league, but they don't maintain it.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. They're not consistent.
So I don't know if that's coaching or if that's just the personality they have on their team. The other thing is like their 4-minute offense just doesn't exist. It's like give the ball to Tatum. You watch this. You watch all the Celtics games. Just give the ball to Tatum like 30 feet from the hoop and he like dribbles around. All I can think of
It's lackadaisical basketball all the time.
all I can think of is Rob the Celtic watching this and be like, what are you guys doing? Because then they'll settle for like a 19-foot fadeaway jump shot sometimes. It's crazy because they have such great offensive players. And early in games, they look great offensively, but then they stop running their stuff. I don't know why they do that.
Well, I had the wonderful pleasure of watching a couple games with my dad recently
Oh, that's
in
good.
Arizona.
Nice,
And also, I mean, we were yelling at the TV because it's the same thing. And I feel like my dad is fundamental like Robin Selvig. And you pass and catch, you pass around defenders.
Yes.
You pass with two hands, and we're doing some of this crazy stuff out there that just ends up as a turnover,
Right.
going the other way. And so, yeah, I really struggle with some of their play. However, I will say, when they want to turn it up a notch, they are really tough to beat because they have multiple offensive weapons. And Porzingis, I think the biggest aspect of this game or this series, this game today that will be coming up tonight, is that rim protection.
Yeah.
And that's what we haven't had to rely on yet thus far. But why we spent so much money to get Porzingis to Boston is for this exact reason.
That's the
Last thing I'll get to you, and then we'll get to you before I let you go. Chris
Redpath in studio with us here on Nuanez now.
And that is, Porzingis got hurt very early in the first round of the playoffs. He hasn't played since. I don't know if that's because of the severity of the injury or because they knew they had an easy pass and they knew they didn't have to rush him back. If he is 100%, that is such an unbelievable X factor because not only is he one of the great rim protectors in the league, 7'3", he also averages 23 points per game, so he's an elite scorer too. That's the thing that unlocks everything for Boston.
I've been paranoid. He's been out since Game 5 against Miami.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a long time to sit. So now I'm going, okay, we're sitting there. Are we saving him? Or
Right.
now are we expecting him to just come back and be in tip-top shape like he just was playing against Miami? That's the concern, Coulter, when I leave the studio today, is where is Porzingis going to be tonight? And are we asking too much of him to just step right in to where he left off? In a calf injury, you know, in this day and age, no one really talks too much about the severity of injuries. We as media people know that. No one wants to ever talk about it. And so it's really hard to figure out, was it severe or were they holding him out? Obviously, Indiana didn't give us what we needed to. We were able to control that series. So you have to look at it that way, but we need Porzingis to step in. That rim protection will be key.
NBA Final Stock presented by Sportsbet Montana. Mavs are plus 195 tonight and plus 185 in the series. So big-time underdogs for Dallas. We'll see if they can extend that. It's going to be uphill sled for sure tonight to Boston. 6.5-point favorites at the Boston Garden. Wait, he's going Celtics in 7?
Wow. I don't want to go 7. No.
This bird jersey is like luck right here. No.
I just feel like they got to get, I mean, they're not, the Mavs are going to win 2 somewhere along the lines, I think. Right?
Well, we got to take care of home court advantage.
That's going to be the biggest part of this
like getting it done tonight in Boston.
I do think the Celtics will have it in hand tonight. I do think if the Mavs can steal a game in Boston, it's got to be game 2. And that's the way they're going to swing the series. Because if they get to game 7 in Boston, I mean, as we know, game 7 in Boston are perhaps the hardest thing to win in all of sports.
They are.
Like, I would love to know the Celtics game 7 records at home.
Next week, when we come back, we'll talk about
that.
The good thing is we're going to be on the air this summer, Coulter. We can really talk about it.
I can't wait. Chris Redpath will be with us next week. Scott Morton, our guest, a Montana State alum, and she's doing some interesting things. So she'll be our Where They Now subject next week.
Thanks so much for spending some extra time with us.
Thank you, Coulter.
Well, it's now ESPN Radio Carroll. She goes on Sports Next.
A trio of Grizz greats headline an annual Nitro
Really?
this year at the Montana Football.
I guess that's right. I guess that's why that's part of the trio.
The fabric of the history of football in Montana
No,
and the
what?
University of Montana.
You're listening to the National Sports Talk. They killed this guy.
Will be inducted into the Montana
He's like the
Football
most.
Hall of Fame.
He's like one of the biggest fighting
Hall of
around.
Fame for a night to remember on June 22nd in Billings. Buy tickets to the banquet or find out more information. Visit mtfootballhof.com or visit any Universal Athletic outlet in the state of Montana.
Do you want to take your golf game to the next level? To be the best you can be on the links, knowing the course is essential. At Canyon River Golf Course, they have a brand new fleet of golf carts complete with the shared experience. A state-of-the-art GPS system that offers precise distance between measurements, full flyovers, pro tips, and more. In addition, music and entertainment choices provide any golfer with all you need to thrive at Canyon River. Located in East Missoula, Canyon River offers a championship golf experience set on a beautiful, immaculately curated course. For more information, visit CanyonRiverGolfClub.com today. Fundraising is not always a popular sport. It can be thrown some parents who don't really know what to do. It can become really stressful. Vertical Race can do hands-on implementation with any high school sports team to maximize your fundraising efforts. Peter Hamill is an expert in making the process easy and ensuring your team gets the biggest check possible so that your season can go smoothly. The online fundraising abilities of Vertical Race can help provide opportunities.
Yeah, thank you. All right, well, so we'll be back.
Support them.
Thursday?
Yes.
Okay, I'll let you know about
Find out how Vertical Race can maximize your money. Visit verticalrace.com. You already know Paradise Falls has excellent home-style breakfast, and you already know Paradise Falls is an awesome place to gather with family and friends alike for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You probably already know that Paradise Falls has some of the best burgers and steaks in all of Missoula, but if you don't know about the delicious pizza at Paradise Falls, you need to. The PF Supreme, the chicken bacon, the Hawaiian, and any combination you might make yourself will have your mouth watering from start to finish. Come try the pizza at Paradise Falls. Swinging to 3621 Brook Street in Missoula, Paradise Falls, Missoula's coolest hotspot. The pageantry, the tradition, the competition, the communal aspect. It's what we love about sports. But there's also a stark reality. Sports and money go hand in hand. At Nuanez Now, every other Tuesday, we are proud to present a business angle with Justin Angle, a segment about the overlay of business and sports.
Well, one way to think about it is equating these coaches to stocks, right? Like Travis DeCuire is a value stock. It's dependable. It's steady.
Gonna win 20 games every year.
You have 20 wins and a shot at the NCAA tournament, whereas Logie at Montana State is kind of the hot stock. High volatility. Can he replicate it? But he's new to people's radar screens. And if he is on the rise and you can pick him off at a cheap price before he peaks, then that seems like a gamble that a program might be willing to take.
Tune in every other Tuesday during the 5 o'clock hour to Nuanez Now to hear Justin Angle, a University of Montana business professor, talk with me, Coulter Nuanez, about all of the ins and outs of sports and business.
This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN. ESPN Radio Missoula.
We could have made something of ourselves out there if we'd have listened to the folks that knew that cold was gonna bury you.
Big Sky Barbecue Supply is now open in the Stevens Center. I went in there the other day, dropped off some cookies. Oh my gosh, I wanted to buy everything. They have like these pizza ovens, like a pizza oven grill. So you can do your grill, and you can also do pizza in there, like a homemade pizza. I was like, I call my wife, like, hey, let's put this thing on the car. Let's get this thing. I have some restraint, but they'll be around. I'll certainly be back in there. Check out Big Sky Barbecue Supply in the Stevens Center.
Check it out on Sports ESPN Radio. How you feeling? You don't have any more children in the elementary schools or the middle schools or anything. You got nothing but high schoolers now.
I dropped my son off at the 8th grade dance last night and cried the whole drive home.
I bet you did. That's a emotional moment. Good job.
And tonight's graduation.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, this is embarrassing, but I don't care.
No, it's not embarrassing at all. It's a great moment for you guys. I mean, you know, time never slows down. Time's undefeated. But
I mean, my oldest is going to be a senior. This is tough.
Yeah.
I can't talk. Can you just move on?
At least they get 1 year in high school together. My brother and I were 4 years apart, and we never got to go to high school together, which is probably a good and bad thing.
I think it's going to be a bad thing.
Really?
Yes. I'm already waiting for all the phone calls. So,
yeah. Well, good job, Nick. Good job, Ben. Good job to all the kids that made it through. Here's a fun story for you. I didn't tell this yesterday. I should have told it yesterday. My older nephew, he's just... I don't know, what do you say, graduate? Not graduate. He's done with second grade. So now he's moving on to another building or whatever.
He finished a grade.
Yeah,
yes.
Finished a grade.
Yes.
And that's like kind of like a section of school, right? Like your kids went to Hellgate, so you go from the K through 2 and then the 3 through 5. It's like you move up a building each time.
Oh, yeah, it's a big deal.
So he's going to another part of Chief Charlie, whatever. But they have like basically like an elongated recess / picnic on the last day of school. So like from 11 until 1 or 11 until 2 yesterday. They were just hanging out at Skyview Park and just hanging and partying. So my sister-in-law said, hey, I think it would be so cool if we get a Grizz guy to show up. So I texted all my Grizz guys that I know, personally, that have done NIL stuff with them, guys that you can just easily reach out to. Every single one of them showed up.
Oh, my God, that's so cute.
So we're just
guys hanging out.
Did they wear their, jerseys?
Oh, yeah, and then all the kids, when I walked up, thought I was on the Grizz, too. They were like, are you an offensive lineman? I was like, hey, look at me, kids. I am so old.
You're like, I'm 1,000.
I was like, maybe 15 or 20 years ago. Not anymore, though. But
that is so cool they did that.
So thanks to Junior Bergen, Nick Ostmo, Ryder Meyer, Ryan Simpson, Keelan White, and Ryan Tyrrell. Those guys all showed up. I thought it was so cool. I didn't expect them to.
That makes me teary-eyed. That is the sweetest thing
It was
I've
awesome,
ever
and
heard.
they played hard. It was so funny too. I said this to a couple of my Grizz booster guys, and one of them was like, "Man, if I was 8 years old and that happened, I would have played so hard."
Totally. Like, hey, Junior, check me out.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was pretty cute. So we were playing baseball and kickball and soccer. So thanks to those guys.
That is the sweetest thing. Like, my heart just grew 3 sizes.
I know.
And it was really shrunken in there.
Yeah.
It was turning black.
Yeah,
so.
I really loved it. It was really fun. Good for those guys.
Yeah.
And thanks to the Desperado for helping me with a little bit of bribery, too. Those guys would have come anyways. But I said, hey, here's, you guys what you need. Because they were like, where do we go to lunch? And I was like, hey, let me tell you where you go to lunch. Because it was just right down the hill. So
that's awesome.
Doled them out some Despo gift cards. And
that's awesome.
King of Wings, Brian, I know you're in Italy. But if by chance you hear this and you have a contingent of hungry young men in your bar, now you know why. So anyways, Carolyn it continues to gain fame. And now she's getting fan mail for being a trendsetter.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The Lubers has become a thing. We got a couple messages about this.
Yes.
People really want to call the Oilers the Lubers. I was completely unaware that I didn't know you made this up until last week, so that's good.
Yeah.
I thought this was actually like a Canadian thing that people said, so dumb by me. But anyways, this is...
Well, how would you know? I mean, you're not Canadian.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
basically, Montana.
We're making it a thing. Luber Nation, hashtag Luber Nation. Make that viral. We're excited. They're going to the finals. This is a big deal.
They're in the finals. Starts on Saturday.
Yeah. So pretty exciting. My other brother and I are going up to Calgary in a couple weeks, and he's actually going to Edmonton. So maybe I'll make some Luber stickers for him to throw around Edmonton to try and, make it a thing.
What's Edmonton like?
I honestly haven't been there since I was so little. That's where my dad.
Wow, bigger than
grew
I
up.
thought. 1.8 million people. That's a big city.
It also has the biggest. Well, it used to be like the biggest mall in the world.
Right, bigger than the Mall of America. Even,
Yeah.
right.
Has an indoor ice skating rink.
Wow.
A roller coaster.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool mall. My dad took me there when I was little, and it was the 80s, so it was like super cool.
Yeah.
When I went, but
fifth largest city in Canada. Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know much about it because I haven't been there since I was little, but
Can't wait to hear reports back.
I will. My brother's going, so I will get a report from him.
So I think everybody kind of agrees that we're all going for Edmonton around here, right?
Lubers.
Yeah,
We're Luber Nation here.
Lubers Nation. So I don't know why this is such a ignorant thing to say, but it just seems wrong to me when teams from they're playing the Florida Panthers.
Right. I know what you're saying.
Like Florida winning the hockey is stupid.
I remember when Phoenix got a hockey team, and I was like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, no, right.
Yeah.
But like the Florida teams are really good. Florida Panthers are good.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay Lightning are good. I mean, Tampa Bay Lightning won the cup a couple years ago. So, I mean, it's not like the players on the team have to be from there. They're all just still from North Dakota
I know,
and Canada.
but it's like you think of a hockey player who like grew up on a pond, ice skating, and
Sure.
like that's what I envision. And so then when you think of like
sure
the guys in Florida, they can't do that.
Right.
But how nice would it be to go be in an indoor rink, and you're in there freezing. I mean, obviously you're working out, but you're free, you're cold, whatever. And then you go outside and it's like Florida weather.
Right.
That's just great
yeah,
to me.
I always wonder, because they all are from like Minnesota and Canada, Russia, like what do they think when they do have to live in Orlando and stuff?
Right. They probably love it.
Maybe, or maybe they hate it. Like I was just in Las Vegas last week. We had a great time, but I melted.
Oh my! I love the heat. So you're talking
106.
Yeah,
though?
love it.
Oh man!
I'm going to Phoenix at the end of the month, and it's gonna be like 120. I'm so excited.
Okay, be careful because you can like fry your brain.
My brain is fried. I don't. We're done here.
One of my uncles lives in Phoenix, and he trims the palm trees during the summer, and he just makes unreal amount of money because of the lack of people that will do that service.
Yeah.
In the summer, and actually, I don't know if he does that anymore, but he did for a long time.
Cool.
Sort of cool.
I'd do it, except the height. That would be
Sure.
the heat. I love the heat. Like
No, you're a
my
freak.
friend thinks I'm crazy.
Yeah, you are.
I'm so excited to come out there.
All right, Chicken Does No Sports. Carolyn joining us here on this Thursday. I have a lot of stuff for you, but I think we're going to get to some of it on your list as well. So, by the way, for people that want some actual real-time news, the NBA Finals starts tonight.
Who's in it?
I knew you were going to say that. You really have no idea. Not one clue.
Not a clue.
If you had to guess.
I know it's not LA.
Nope, neither LA team's in.
I have no idea. I literally have no idea.
No clue.
No clue.
This is tremendous.
It Dallas?
Dallas, very good.
Okay.
Dallas is one.
That's all I got.
Your best friend, Kyle Irving.
Okay.
Kyrie. He's navigated the flat world all the way to the NBA Finals.
He actually made it through a team, like a whole season with one team?
For sure.
Wow, okay.
Here's something interesting.
Good job,
I've
Kyle.
actually thought this was a very interesting dynamic. So much of what has ailed the NBA over the last 5 to 10 years, and you have ranted about this endlessly, is like the spoiled attitudes of these guys.
Yeah.
And so many of the spoiled guys are Americans.
Mm-hmm.
I really wonder if like the answer, because right now, if you were to name like the 10 best players in the world, at least 5 of them are from different countries. Like Luka Doncic is the Dallas Mavericks best player. He's from Lithuania. And I just wonder, like, Kyrie's tricks don't work on him because he doesn't like have all this other stuff.
Yeah.
He just does basketball.
Right.
It's just like Jokic from the Nuggets. He just wants to ride his horse and like hang out.
Exactly.
You know? He doesn't even know who these other guys are. He's like no drama whatsoever. So I wonder if that's the secret. Maybe that's why Kyle is balling right now.
Go Kyle.
They're playing the Boston Celtics.
Had no idea.
No, of course you didn't. Well, if you were to just guess, you probably should just guess the Celtics because they're in the finals like every other year. So.
Larry Bird?
Yeah, Larry Bird, he did play for the Celtics 40 years ago. Yep. So had some players since then.
My sports knowledge really goes from like the 80s to the early 90s.
So what happened? Why'd you stop paying attention? Because TMZ was created. Bravo.
I mean, I think I only know this stuff because we didn't know everything we know now. Like you were fed news and information to a degree, and then I lived in Chicago, so it was like we had the Bears and the Bulls, and then I don't know the Bears. I don't really know. I don't know, but.
All right, well, NBA Finals coming up tonight, 6:30 for Game 1 from Boston. and should be a heck of a series. All right, what do you got this week?
Well, the WNBA is filling up. I mean, there is so much drama going on.
There is.
It is crazy, and I'm really excited about it because it is just bringing so much more spotlight to the WNBA. So,
Man. I don't know if anybody's watching the games, but they're certainly following all the drama on Twitter and Instagram.
So, last week, Kennedy Clark shoulder checks Caitlin. No,
Kennedy
Carter. Sorry.
Yeah,
shoulder checks Caitlin Clark. Doesn't get. She gets a foul. Not a flagrant foul in the game.
Yep.
Obviously, everybody knows this story. That the Fever beat Chicago by 1 point because of that one free throw that she got, and that Caitlin Clark got. Then they came back and gave her a flagrant foul, which means what? What do they do? What does that do?
I don't know about the retrospective of it, but a flagrant, like there's a flagrant 1 and a flagrant 2. If you get a flagrant 2, you get ejected.
Got it.
Flagrant 1. This means that it was an intentional foul. That means the other team gets to shoot 2 free throws and they get the ball back.
Okay. So, and then Angel Reese got ejected from the game.
Yeah, she's
Oh, no, sorry. She didn't get ejected from that game. She got ejected from another game this week.
Correct.
But when Kennedy Clark checked,
Kennedy
Carter checked Caitlin Clark. Oh, my God. Angel Reese got up and clapped.
Right.
That was bad.
Is it, though?
Yes.
Here's the thing. I was talking about this yesterday. The biggest injustice that was done to Caitlin Clark is not her fault. It's the fault of the national media. They perpetuated and propelled the narrative that she's the greatest women's basketball player of all time.
Yeah.
That was and never has been true for 1 second. She's one of the great collegians, but she has absolutely at no point been the best basketball player in the world right now or ever. And the fact of the matter is there's like 30 girls in the WNBA that are significantly better than Caitlin Clark.
But it's not Caitlin Clark's fault that the media has done
I totally
this.
agree. That's why I say it's an injustice to her.
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised that they are giving her the business right now.
Yeah.
This happens, though, to prodigy-type people in all the sports.
Yeah.
Like, if women want equality, they got to realize this happens to guys all the time. Like, when Connor McDavid came in for Edmonton when he was only 19, or when Sidney Crosby came in, these guys were so hyped in hockey, they got their heads ripped off.
Mm-hmm.
It happens to everybody. I mean, Johnny Manziel happened to him, and then he completely melted into dust, right? You know, that's what makes great ones, too. Like, Patrick Mahomes has gotten headhunted for years, and he's just so good that he just keeps rising above it. But it's what happens to the best. I mean, Michael Jordan got absolutely destroyed by the Detroit Pistons for 3 straight years and then finally got over the top. So
I'm fine with it. Like, you're exactly right. This happens in the NBA. This happens in men's sports.
Some of it's dirty, and I think that part is the part that's really making people feel weird about it, because it's not like she's just getting fouled hard. Like the Kennedy Carter thing, that's BS. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's not a basketball play. Like, Caitlin Clark didn't have the ball. She just went and shouldered her to the ground.
The ball
and then,
wasn't even in play.
Yeah, it's just a fight. Like, that's
so that's
just
what
stupid.
I didn't. That's why I didn't like the Angel Reese thing. So I was like, okay, so Angel Reese.
I will give the WNBA credit, though. They're not protecting Caitlin Clark. Like, no. And I shouldn't say like they deserve credit for not protecting her, but they're not giving her preferential treatment.
Yeah, no. I mean, and there's a lot of back and forth that she's being bullied, she's being, you know, whatever, and then it's becoming racial, and it's becoming, you know, I saw headlines like black lesbians hate Caitlin Clark, and I'm like, okay, let's just relax, okay?
For
like,
sure.
Why are we trying to make it worse than it is?
For sure. And the sexuality thing just needs to be left out of it all the way around. Like, there's not headlines like straight linebackers tackle straight quarterback. Like,
exactly.
That's just stupid.
No, it's so totally stupid. So Angel Reese is talking a bunch of smack, and then she's mad because you can tell Angel Reese is mad that Caitlin. Yes. She's made comments like Caitlin Clark's not the only person who, and she's right.
She is right.
Angel Reese and a bunch of this last class of college players really did.
Yes.
You know, so it's not all on Caitlin Clark.
Did you watch Full Court Press? The little 4-part reality show that they did on Caitlin Clark last year. They just released it on Netflix.
No, I haven't watched it yet.
Okay, so
I meant to watch it.
Caitlin Clark, Camila Cardozo, who's the 6'7" Brazilian gal from South Carolina, and then Rice. What's her first name? Something Rice.
Condoleezza?
No. She was the number 1 recruit in the country. She went to UCLA. So it was following like the great senior, the great post player, and then the great freshman. There's so many funny moments in it, and the funniest though, because again, I think Caitlin Clark deserves a ton of credit for bringing so many different people and eyes to the sport. But the sport has been very good for a really long time. There's this moment where she meets Maya Moore. Maya Moore was like the queen of UConn. UConn won 88 straight games. They won 4 straight national championships. So her college career was significantly better than Caitlin Clark's. Caitlin Clark gets all this attention, though. Caitlin Clark looked up to Maya Moore a lot. So when she meets Maya Moore, she fangirls out. She's like crying. It's really cute. But all I keep thinking is, like, I wonder what Maya Moore really thinks of this interaction, because it's like Caitlin Clark's meeting her hero, and they're definitely like exploiting the situation. But like Maya Moore's way better than Caitlin Clark.
Does Maya Moore
But the
still?
world doesn't know that.
Does she still play?
I think she recently just retired. She was playing college ball like probably 15 years ago.
I mean, that's the same difference as like some famous actress meeting a TikToker, and this TikToker is more famous with 12-year-olds because more 12-year-olds watch TikTok than they watch, movies, Oscar-winning movies. Like
Maya Moore retired from the WNBA in 2018.
You can't. I mean, it just is what it is.
It's true.
And all
true.
these women should just be happy that there is all this
for sure
excitement around
I mean,
it.
the parallel I made on the show with Justin Angle on Tuesday was that the NBA was filled with all sorts of great players, from Wilt Chamberlain to Bill Russell to George Gervin and Bob McAdoo and, Rick Barry and all down the line, and you don't know anybody I just said except for maybe Wilt Chamberlain,
I was
right?
going to say, I know Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah, but that's it. And you know who he is because of other things besides basketball, probably. Exactly.
Dirty man.
Exactly. So it's just the same thing with Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan. They're very good and they're awesome, but they're the ones that brought the NBA.
Exactly.
You need to have that person that like sort of delivers it.
And the way media is consumed is different. Like you said, maybe people aren't watching the WNBA games, but man, are we seeing all these clips on Instagram, and we're seeing news stories and this and that. And
I'll say this, I haven't gone out of my way to watch WNBA game, but they are on television all the time. So like when we were in Vegas, it's like, oh, you're at a sports bar, there's a game on. So that people are giving it like treatment.
It's definitely. So another funny thing about it is now there's a lot of videos coming out of the ladies coming to the games, and they're all dressed
and
up.
Their fashion, yeah.
So who's the one that just got divorced that was posting all like
Kelsey Plum.
Kelsey Plum. So
you saw those pictures that I sent.
Yes.
How about that comeback?
So then so remember I was saying sex up the WNBA?
Oh, buddy.
So they show her walking in, and she is in like this hot leather outfit, like
she is
leather
else.
Bra, whatever. And then in comes another, I don't know any of their names, but they all look pretty good. And then in comes Brittany Griner in a full suit. And then, but then they show Caitlin Clark, and she's in this like weird pajama outfit with high heels, and she's just like clomping.
Her style is just so strange.
And she, they're so tall, so she's kind of like hunched over. I'm like, oh, Caitlin, we need to get a stylist like ASAP.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on for sure. Chicken Doesn't Know Sports here. On ESPN Radio. I made a mistake last week, too. I mentioned Kelsey Plum and Darren Waller, and I said they were dating. They were actually married. So
I think they have a child, right?
I think that's right. Darren Waller also thinks he's a rapper now, and he did a new rap song with a music video.
Was it a diss track?
No, it's like a I Want You Back kind of track. And everything that she's been posting about it is just like, I think that's going to make it worse, dude. Like, I think she's going to rub it in your face more now that you're like begging in public. The music video has like a fake Kelsey Plum in it.
Interesting.
You gotta watch it.
All right, I'll watch
Antonio
that.
Brown was brought to my attention. He's like, bro, what are you doing? Don't do this. Have more pride than this. Like, it's over, man.
Yeah.
You're divorced.
I mean, didn't he want the divorce? Like, he's the one who left her.
I think so, right?
Allegedly.
Right, and not to be crude, but like he's a 6'5" NFL tight end in Las Vegas. Like, you can move on pretty easy, buddy.
Oh wow.
I'm just saying.
The heart wants what the heart wants.
I get it. When the ship sailed, the ship sailed. Like, she's already humiliated you in public multiple times. She already said, like, you ain't getting me back, and look at what you lost. Like, she's rubbing it in his face. She's wearing those outfits on purpose.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. But I loved seeing these gals all dolled up. Like, I was like, all right, girls, this is what I'm taught. They must be listening.
They're definitely listening. Once upon a time, the NBA, when Michael Jordan retired, there's always been this very strong relationship and correlation between hip-hop and the NBA. The sort of cultures overlap so much, and all the rappers want to be basketball players, all the basketball players want to be rappers, okay, whatever. But then when the faces of the league were guys like Allen Iverson and stuff, Allen Iverson is how do you say? Allen Iverson is from the streets. Like, Allen Iverson was wearing the do-rag and whatever, and David Stern, the commissioner of the NBA, freaked out about it, and he made a dress code.
Oh, yeah.
But then what that then morphed into with these guys taking what fits under the dress code but then making it their own has just been so awesome over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Because you got the Dwayne Wades that just are wearing like the Versace suits, but then you also have guys that, like LeBron is classic. LeBron has all these funny, hilarious, like bright colored outfits that fit the dress code, but it's like his own thing,
I just remember Charles Barkley was always wearing like zoot suits and like big purple. He had like a purple suit, and I don't know why I remember that, but I do.
Nuanez now, ESPN Radio. Carol Lynching doesn't know sports. All right, what else we got?
You tell me. You said you had a bunch of stuff.
All right. Well, I wanted to ask you about Kyle Irvin back in the NBA playoffs. Odell Beckham just signed with the Miami Dolphins. He's one of the few people you do know, right? Because he's sort of like a fashion icon and whatever. So how do you think this is going to go? Odell Beckham has, a long history of lots of girlfriends, and he had when he was playing for the Browns, you thought that was the funniest thing in the world, and now he's like running mates with Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill's working on 10 kids. Just seems like a bad combo. I don't know. I don't know if those guys are friends or not. It seems like if they are friends, they're in Miami. There's gonna be a lot of
trouble.
It's gonna be a lot of trouble. It
Interesting. Well, Tyreek is probably going to be on Child 11 pretty soon.
What is that?
I don't know. I just think maybe the two of them going out in Miami is going to.
Right, but what's Child 11?
Child 11.
Child 11.
Number 11.
Got it. I thought you were saying that so there was some specific weird channel that I haven't heard about.
No, but we should create something called
Chat 11. All right,
You're listening to Chat 11.
Gossip with the chicken doesn't know sports.
I don't know what that's going to entail, but I mean, Miami for any hot NFL player is probably a pretty good time.
Here is a good betting tip for you. Look at the NFL schedule and look at teams from cold weather places that play a road game the week before they play in Miami. If Miami's their second straight road game, they're from a cold weather place, they're playing the Dolphins in Miami.
They lose?
Bet for the Dolphins all day long.
Don't they have a curfew?
Guess who Tom Brady has the worst career record in all of the NFL against? The Miami Dolphins in Miami. Because Tom would be going out and doing his thing.
There's no way Tom Brady was going out past 8 p.m.
Well, here's the thing. It probably wasn't. It wasn't Tom. It was Julian Edelman and Rob Gronkowski and Demi Amendola that were staying up all night.
But don't they have a curfew?
How do you tell Tom Brady what to do? Right? Like, you kind of have a curfew, but when the players make more than the coaches or the front office executives, they don't. Like, what are you going to do? Fine them? Well, that's fine. What do you think Gronk's going to do?
I guess my feeling is like, you can go to Miami anytime, you dork. Like,
no,
just
true.
Relax. God, go play your football game. Don't go rage the night before. Get your 8 hours.
Yeah.
Carb load.
I would just love, like, Gronk getting fined for breaking curfew. He'd be like, here you go.
He'd be like, what's a curfew?
And also, here's your money. Yeah. I don't care.
I guess so.
Did I ever tell you the Gronk story about his money?
What?
So Rob Gronkowski negotiated every single one of his contracts to get at least $5 million and sometimes as much as $15 million upfront signing bonus. But then he gave the rest of his money. He never managed his money whatsoever. Every single one of his paychecks that wasn't his signing bonus, he lived off his signing bonus. The rest of it went straight to his mom.
That's right. Yep.
And his mom just managed it.
Yeah.
So now he's got more money than anybody.
Yeah.
Well, not really, but he has lots of money because Mama Gronk took care of it for him.
Good job, Mama Gronk.
I mean, that's how you should do it.
I agree.
Because if you're getting it up front and you get you can have so much fun on $10 million. You can have so much fun on $10.
It boggles my mind how these guys blow their money so fast.
Yeah, it's weird.
I mean, it's just, I understand. Like, I know, like, if I got a nice commission check, I'm like, ooh, I'm going to.
Right.
But then I'm like, oh, no, I actually have to eat this month.
Well, think about how much you can still trick off and spend and get yourself some new shoes and a new shirt, whatever. It's like, how much do you actually need?
I mean, and I shop at Target, so it's not going to be like that extravagant.
All right. Chicken Doesn't Know Sports here on ESPN Radio, proudly presented in part by the Hype House. Hype House has a new strength training facility attached to their world-famous cycling studio. You can take strength classes. You can also use the strength training facility for your own open gym workouts as well. For more information about all that Hype House has to offer, visit hypehousestudio.com. All right, one last one for you here.
Okay.
I feel like you like LeBron, but you also like making fun of LeBron.
I would never make fun of LeBron.
Yeah,
what do you mean?
but like sometimes he's a prima donna, and he does like pick his coaches out.
Because he's a flopper.
And they just fired the coach in L.A.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Even though they made the playoffs. Wow, you did. That's amazing.
On TN.
Well, the L.A. news, it seems like you can follow the L.A. teams better because that trickles into your TMZ and New York Post.
Yes.
They fired Darvin Ham even though they made the playoffs. LeBron's running out of time. I mean, he's about to be 40. But the speculation right now for who's going to be the new Lakers head coach, it's between Coach Hurley from UConn, who just won the national championship, which that makes sense. And it's interesting because it's actually like 20 years to the day since Mike Krzyzewski, Coach K from Duke, was the front runner for the Lakers job. And then he said no. He was going to be the guy that...
I thought he retired.
No, he did. This is
20 years ago, sorry.
20 years ago, he was going to be the guy to replace Phil Jackson. He was going to fix Kobe and Shaq. And then he said, you know what? I'm a college coach. I'm not doing this. And it's probably the best move he ever made because it probably wouldn't have gone well for him. But now Hurley is in the mix with the Lakers. But the other speculated finalist is J.J. Redick. So J.J. Redick played in the NBA for a long time. Now he has a very popular NBA podcast with the co-host being LeBron James.
Oh.
So what do you think of this? LeBron James is basically his media partner and one of his best friends is going to be his coach.
I don't think that's a good
idea.
idea.
And J.J. Redick is younger than LeBron James and has never coached in the NBA. How's that going to work? Or is LeBron just going to be the coach if that's who they hire?
I was just going to say, I feel like that's LeBron will just be like, sit down, I got this.
And so then is that going to open up the door even more for LeBron's son to be on the way to the Los Angeles Lakers?
Now he's still in the draft, right? Or
the draft's coming up. I don't know what the
well,
status
last I read, he was still planning to, I guess, keep his name in the draft, whatever that means.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but he's still planning to play for USC if he doesn't.
Right. He has not hired an agent.
So.
Not that he needs to. He'll just have Rich Paul as his agent.
I imagine what's going to happen is this guy's going to become the coach, and then they're going to draft Bronny.
So I want to know what happens to their podcast. Do they still do it?
Yeah.
Man.
I don't know. That's a big conflict of interest.
No, it's such a big conflict of interest. I'm like, well, okay, how do you analyze the Laker game when you're the Lakers coach and the Lakers best player?
And I just think, I wonder if there's how everyone else would feel about that. That's just
they would not feel good about
that. That doesn't really leave a good team dynamic.
Right.
That would be like if Becky and I started a podcast.
Speaking of those sports here on ESPN Radio.
That would be a good podcast.
Buff City Soap. Buff City Soap has all sorts of great stuff going on. They're locally owned and operated. They make their own liquid soap in-house. Also, if you go over there, just go over there to the Northgate Plaza. Because it doesn't matter what time of year, what day of the week it is, they always have a deal going on. Appreciate Buff City Soap for their proud support of Chicken Doesn't Know Sports. Nuanez that, ESPN Radio. Chicken Doesn't Know Sports. Chicken Doesn't Know Sports.
The Missoula Broadcasting Company is accepting applications for a full-time advertising account executive who is dedicated, passionate, and ready to make an impact. Our locally owned and operated stations, The Trail 103.3, U1045, 105.9 Jack FM, and ESPN Missoula 102.9 are not just radio stations. They are vibrant communities that deliver exceptional results for our business partners. As a local broadcaster, we have a unique opportunity to connect with businesses with the community through the power of radio advertising. Help local businesses thrive while making a positive impact on the community we love. We believe in placing the needs of our clients above all else. You'll have the chance to build strong relationships and create real value for our advertising partners. We're committed to your success. With extensive training and continuous support, you'll have everything you need to thrive and grow your career. Join a team that's encouraging, collaborative, and just plain fun to work with. We celebrate each other's successes and work together towards common goals. If interested, contact us through our website at MissoulaBroadcasting.com.
Willie McElroy knows what you can achieve through hard work as an athlete from a small town in Montana. Detroit native rose up to become an All-American safety for the Grizzlies on UM's 95 National Championship team before spending time playing in the NFL. McElroy has also used those values in his work at McElroy Homes. Since 2003, McElroy Homes has helped contracts, subcontracts, and the Garden City city's finest house. McElroy Homes is committed to offering quality custom service, quality products, and the best prices throughout any project. McElroy Homes is also a proud supporter of high school athletes around the state of Montana.
Get ready, Montana. Place bets on your favorite teams and games, both collegiate and professional, with Sportsbet Montana. With over 500 locations statewide, it's never been easier to get in on the action. Choose from spreads, money lines, parlays, and more. Excitement? You bet. Action? You bet. Winning? You bet. Visit sportsbetmontana.com or download the app now. Sportsbet Montana, Montana's exclusive sportsbook. If you like a local establishment where you feel at home, whether it's your first visit or your 15th, then Red's Bar is your bar. With attending staff that's happy to pour you a drink and carry on a conversation, you can come to Red's with friends or just make them while you're there. Of course, Red's is going to have every MLB, NBA, NHL, and PGA event, game, and series all season long. Whatever sport you're into is on at Red's right now. Stop in and find out what the locals already know. Red's Bar, downtown at 217 Ryman, a Missoula institution.
Let's cover our city with art. The City of Missoula Public Art Committee invites artists residing in Missoula County to apply for a public art project to create art on traffic signal boxes located throughout Missoula. The goal of the project is to use local traffic signal boxes as canvases to enhance Missoula's visual surroundings. The boxes to be painted are Highway 10 West and Mary Jane Boulevard and Palmer Street and West Broadway. The deadline for applications is Friday, June 14th. Find the application online now at publicartmissoula.org.
Nuanez now on ESPN Radio.
Don't you know the devil wears a suit and tie? Saw him driving down the 61 in early July. Wide as a cotton field and sharp as a knife. I heard him howling as he passed me by.
It's like I always say with Chris Stapleton. The same thing with Colter Wall. Your voice sounds like that? First of all, how old are you when you realize that? Everybody knows this. It's hard to know the sound of your own voice. Like when you're somebody like me that talks on the radio with my headphones on, I'm used to it now. I transcribed so many interviews during my sports writing career, and I got used to it a long time ago.
But at what point are you like,
oh my gosh, I sound like that? I'm going to be famous. It's awesome. Colter, welcome to Missoula. In September, it's been a heck of a summer of music. It's been a heck of a show. Appreciate all of our fine contributors. From Crystal Redpath, spearheading our Where Are They Now series, to Jordan Sullivan, our first Where Are They Now guest, former Lady Grizz and University of Utah assistant coach in women's basketball. Also from Carolyn Chigo's Sports Week Tax NBA Finals, all of it on the Nuanez Now podcast, probably presented by the M Store with an all Grizz all the time, and the Montana State Bookstore. Visit msubookstore.org. Raheem Seabrook will be rocking and rolling with us tomorrow. We'll have Game 1 reactions plus more NFL talk. See you then. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio.
It's time for the Montana Comfort Food and Game Day Drink Specials. Every Saturday and Sunday, the club's Grizzarita, Huckleberry Margarita, Caesars, and Bloody Marys are only $8. Pair them with custom grilled prime grade Montana Club steaks or a tender prime rib sandwich. And don't forget the cheese fries. Full menu at montanaclub.com. So get into the Montana Club today for an unrivaled flavor experience on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
Booking a tee time at the premier golf course in western Montana has never been easier. You can book a tee time and pay ahead of your round online anytime you want to play Canyon River Golf Club. And while you're at CanyonRiverGolfClub.com, you can check out all the other awesome stuff that Canyon River has to offer. Canyon River Golf Club is Montana's preeminent golf community, offering picturesque views, a challenging track in pristine condition, and second-to-none customer service. Visit CanyonRiverGolfClub.com today to book your tee time.
I call myself a confident backseat driver. Mom, brakes, please.
Gotcha.
But I'm less confident in the economy.
Same here, buddy.
Thankfully, Les Schwab Tires helps make sure that our safety never takes a backseat, even when we're watching our wallets.
Roll into summer. Save up to $200 instantly on a wide selection of tires and wheels. Les Schwab Tires. Limited time offer. Terms and conditions apply. Details at leschwab.com/sale.
Want to know what it means to bank like a local? Ask your neighbor, ask a business owner, ask a friend. They'll tell you they trust Farmer State Bank for personal, commercial, and mortgage banking, and so should you. Banking that fits your lifestyle wherever life takes you. So go ahead, bank like a local. Choose Farmer State Bank. 10 brick and mortar locations and online at farmersebank.com. An equal housing lender and member FDIC.
Celebrate queer joy with the 3rd annual Missoula Pride Celebration. Coming to Missoula June 14th to the 16th. Find more than 35 events over the weekend, plus amazing talent taking over the Main Street Block Party Friday and Saturday. Catch them on Main and Ryman dancing it out with headliners Slater, Recno, Charlie Tuna, and local talent. Monks will have a special showcase highlighting queer and BIPOC trailblazers of house and techno with Ashton Swinton, Lauren, and Sinistar. Follow along on socials at Missoula Pride and find the full list of Fabulous at MissoulaPride.com.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school and graduate debt-free. That education helped me get to the first day at my career, a job that I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from my service helped me buy my first home. And I take pride knowing I will be the first to respond if my community ever needs me. To learn more, visit nationalguard.com.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula.
Is Sports Center.
Is 12-2 in the playoffs. Dallas is 7-2 on the road, and they've beaten 3 of the top 4 seeds in the West. Game 1 coverage already underway on other ESPN radio outlets and on ABC. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reports the Lakers are making a serious run at UConn head coach Dan Hurley. At a meeting with his UConn players today, Hurley says he's listening. ESPN's Seth Greenberg.
He's going to go and he's going to look, and he's going to smell the roses. But there's a decision maker in that room that people are not talking about, and that's his wife, Andrew. He will not take that job unless she's comfortable with it. They are a team, and she has a voice. And it might be the perfect situation, but she's got to be comfortable with that. This will be a family decision.
Seth Greenberg on Greeny. Chiefs defensive end B.J. Thompson is hospitalized and in stable condition after a seizure and cardiac arrest today. The team was scheduled to have an OTA practice, but the players were sent home. Adam Hadwin shoots a 66 today in the first round of the Memorial. He leads Scotty Scheffler by 1 shot. 4 others are 2 back, including Xander Schauffele and Colin Morikawa. At the French Open today, women's semifinals, world number 1 Iga Swiatek beats American Coco Gauff. 12-seed Jasmine Paolini beats 17-year-old Mira Andreeva. Both of those matches in straight sets.
Hey, it's Greeny, and what a time for basketball. Game 1 of the NBA Finals. The Celtics and the Mavs, plus the very latest on Dan Hurley's flirtation with the Los Angeles Lakers. This is the place to talk about it all. It's Greeny, starting 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
.9 ESPN Radio in Missoula, your exclusive home for the bowl season, the college football playoff, the NBA Finals, and the World Series.
Welcome back to the Adam Schefter Podcast, as we are now in the month of June, one of the best times of the year on the NFL calendar, because there are things going on, but not too much going on. And to get us ready for this week's podcast, we will be joined by the man who has been under the spotlight and who will have a spotlight on him again this summer as the general manager of the Chicago Bears, Ryan Poles, who this offseason alone drafted Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze, traded for Keenan Allen, traded away Justin Fields. His moves have left Bears fans buzzing with anticipation for what could be the start of a unique special era in Chicago football. But before we get to the Bears general manager, Ryan Poles, we first will be joined by the co-host of the Fancy Focus podcast, my friend, my colleague, Daniel Dopp, for this week's Six Pack.
Thank you very much, Adam Schefter. Stoked to be here as always. Pumped to do this. Let's dive right in. Topic number one. Adam, you talked about the offseason. We want to keep it calm. We want to keep it low-key. I want to keep seeing guys get paid. I've been watching a bunch of dudes make a bunch of money over the offseason. This last week alone, we had a handful of wide receivers. Talk to me about your thoughts on the week of what seemed to be like wide receiver deals.
This was always going to be, Daniel, the off-season of the wide receiver. And we have begun to see that happen over and over again. It's been affirmed, and it will continue on already. On Monday, we get the largest non-quarterback deal in NFL history for Justin Jefferson, 4 years, $140 million. And that comes within the same week in which the Miami Dolphins extended Jalen Waddle. The Houston Texans extended Nico Collins. Three big wide receiver deals in 1 week in an offseason in which we saw the Lions extend Amon-Ra St. Brown. The Eagles extend A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. The Browns extend Jerry Jeudy. The Colts extend Michael Pittman. And we're still waiting as we record this on Monday night for big deals for C.D. Lamb, for Jamar Chase, for Brandon Ayuk, for maybe Amari Cooper, T. Higgins, who I don't have a lot of hope will get that done, with a Cincinnati team that has to figure out a way to pay Jamar Chase and is paying Joe Burrow, and it will be hard to pay him too. But last offseason was the deal of the quarterback. Quarterbacks got paid. Now it's the wide receivers' turn, and they are being paid over and over and over again, Daniel.
Adam, like it feels like if this was a time to be a wide receiver, like you're going to be making a bunch of money. You're talking about record-setting deals for seemingly every single one of these guys. Amon-Ra came out and reset the market. Justin Jefferson, going to reset the market. And that, Adam, leads me to topic number two. What does a Justin Jefferson deal mean for one name in particular out of all those guys that you just mentioned in that list of wide receivers that are waiting for deals? CeeDee Lamb. What does Justin Jefferson's deal mean for him?
Well, again, Daniel, here's what I would say to you. You may think Justin Jefferson is better than CeeDee Lamb. You may think CeeDee Lamb is better than Justin Jefferson. I think we could agree that they are comparable. Although I think most people would believe that Justin Jefferson is numero uno in those two receivers. Okay, fine. But they've both played 4 seasons. Justin Jefferson has been All-Pro 3 times. CeeDee Lamb has been All-Pro 2 times. Both have been to the Pro Bowl 3 times. Justin Jefferson has 392 catches through 4 seasons. CeeDee Lamb, 395. Justin Jefferson has 5,900 receiving yards. CeeDee Lamb has 5,145. Justin Jefferson has 31 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb has 35. So, again, I think that Justin Jefferson is a better receiver. But if Justin Jefferson is getting $35 million a year, Daniel, what do you think the number for CeeDee Lamb is going to be? And CeeDee Lamb was waiting for this particular deal to get done all along. So the Justin Jefferson deal has come in. $35 million a year, $110 million guaranteed. I don't think CeeDee Lamb is going to beat that deal, but I do think he's going to get in the neighborhood of that deal. So what is that going to be? $32 million a year, Daniel? Roughly 32 and a half? I don't know. We're throwing out numbers, but CeeDee Lamb waited for a reason. He got his reason Monday morning. He didn't have to do anything, and CeeDee Lamb had himself as good a day Monday as any wide receiver in the National Football League.
Yeah, he absolutely did. Thank you, Justin Jefferson, for helping be able to set the market for everybody else. All right, that kind of leads me to topic number 3, Adam, and I'm going to stick on this Jay Jettis train. Did it ever get to a spot behind the scenes where the Vikings were actually entertaining, like actually entertaining the idea of moving Justin Jefferson?
Never, ever got close. There were teams that reached out. Daniel, the New York Jets reached out about Justin Jefferson. Did you know that?
Yeah, can you imagine Justin Jefferson and Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers? That would be unreal.
The Indianapolis Colts reached out about Justin Jefferson. You know that?
Wow. That'd be a great, I mean, Anthony Richardson would love a wide receiver like that in his wide receiving core.
The 49ers reached out about Justin Jefferson. You know that?
Okay, they're just getting greedy at this point, Adam. They certainly don't need another wide receiver.
Well, this was all before the draft. And every team that called the Vikings before the draft was told we're not trading him. The conversations went nowhere with anybody. So it was a moot point. And by the way, there should have been 31 teams that were calling the Vikings and checking in to see if there was any way that they would trade the wide receiver who wanted a new deal, who they struggled to get a new deal done with. Everybody should have called, like whoever it was. And so there were some teams, a group of them, that checked in. Every one of them that called the Vikings was turned away right away and was told, we're not dealing the guy. And so it never went anywhere because this was the day that Minnesota envisioned. You're not trading away a receiver who's done everything that Justin Jefferson has, who set all these marks that he has, who has a record amount of receiving yards in his first 4 years, who has 30 touchdowns, who is the offensive player of the year in 2022, who averages 98.3 yards per game, the most in NFL history for any career span. So they weren't trading him. It's a moot point. Doesn't matter who called, they weren't trading him.
Well, Adam, when you're going to pay a guy $35 million a year with $110 million guaranteed, it sends a pretty strong sign that you like the guy. So it makes sense that they wouldn't want to move him. Speaking of all that money, topic number 4. When you look at guys getting paid that much, Adam, I think there are certain expectations. I don't know if teams have, fans have, players have. Lamar Jackson just signed a 5-year, $260 million deal last year. Now he's skipping OTAs this year. Do you make anything of that?
Well, here's what I make of that. I think it's short-sighted. I think it's silly. I think he's the leader of a team. I think that it's in his best interest to be there. And I also think it's an expensive proposition. Not expensive so much as he's forfeiting the chance to make more money. Do you know, Daniel? That's the theme of this podcast.
I like this.
Do you know, right?
Yeah.
Dropping little nuggets of information. Did you know, Daniel, that Lamar Jackson has a $750,000 workout bonus in his contract for him to attend 84% of the workouts? If you just look at the contract, it's in there. $750,000 for 84%. He's not going to make it. So basically he's saying, yeah, I'd like to be in Baltimore, but $750,000 isn't going to get me to be there. Now, again, in what universe would you bypass the chance to be in Baltimore? What is it, an extra few weeks? Maybe? I'm guessing. I don't know the exact timeline. Let's call it a month. You have to spend an extra month in Baltimore. Would you spend an extra month in Baltimore for $750,000, Daniel?
Yes, Adam, I would. Very, very definitively.
So would I. So would I. Sign me up for a $750,000 off-season workout bonus for 84% participation in attendance, and I would be there. But Lamar Jackson is not. And I just think that when you're the leader of the team, when you're being paid over $50 million a year, to me, the right thing is to be there with your team at all times, especially when you have the chance to benefit by it for $750,000. But he's lost the chance to cash in on that incentive this offseason.
That's crazy. I mean, like you just said, I can't imagine getting to a point in my life where I knowingly just walk away from $750,000. But who knows? Who knows? Here's where we are.
If you have ever thought about remodeling your bathroom but were worried it would take too long or cost too much, then stop worrying. Right now, Jacuzzi Bath Remodel has designed a collection of high-quality custom products and perfected the one-day remodeling experience so you can enjoy your new bathroom faster than ever before. It's a worry-free bath remodel from the most trusted brand name in the business, Jacuzzi. A jacuzzi bath system fits in your existing tub space. It's a no-mess installation with an amazing style selection, factory-certified installers, and a limited lifetime warranty. Call 800-717-4599. That's 800-717-4599 right now and get 50% off installations with no interest and no payments for 12 months. Replace that old bathtub today with a walk-in shower for a safer bathing experience. If you have lived in your home for over 15 years, it's time to remodel your bathroom. For a virtual or in-home appointment, appointment. Call 800-717-4599. That's 800-717-4599. 800-717-4599.
Mike Greenberg is Greeny.
I never had the privilege of meeting Larry Allen, but I've been around a million people who did. They will go on and on about how great a player Larry Allen was. People talk about him with reverence. There are a handful of players like that in NFL history. It is not in any way hyperbole to say he is one of the greatest players that ever lived.
Greeny with Mike Greenberg. Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Plus, you can watch and listen on the ESPN app. Evan, Kenzie, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
You can dunk. I can dunk what? Donuts? You can't dunk? What do you mean I can't dunk? You've never been able to dunk. You're not a short guy. I'm 6'1". I can't dunk.
Yeah, I'm
Why would you think I can dunk?
Well,
I mean, I see your jersey in the studio. You got your own bobblehead. I'm just sitting there thinking, okay.
That's a radio bobblehead.
This guy can dunk.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday mornings starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
You have cancer. There's nothing you can do to prepare yourself.
Round 1 of chemotherapy.
I'm going to fight it. I'm going to survive. There's no way I'm going to let this take over me.
Cancer doesn't care what you look like, who you are.
It may not save my life. It may save my children's lives. It may save someone you love.
Cancer about you. Let's do it.
Live. Fight like hell. And when you get too tired to fight, let somebody else fight for you.
Because of all the donations, mine is one of the lives that's been saved.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Visit v.org/donate.
Sports in the state of Montana are covered by Coulter Nuanez, 4 to 6 every weekday on 102.9 ESPN Radio.
All right, topic number 5, Adam Schefter. Speaking of guys being the leader of a team, the New England Patriots drafted Drake May this offseason, and they're kind of taking a collaborative approach with deciding who's going to start. Talk to me about how the Pats are approaching this QB situation.
Well, that's what the Patriots general manager, Elliott Wolf, said last week. It's going to be a collaborative approach on when Drake May starts. But I guess I would say, why would you want to collaborate? Do you think Bill Belichick was collaborating when he was the head coach of the Patriots on when Tom Brady would supplant Drew Bledsoe as the starting quarterback? Like, who's collaborating? Does the general manager have say over when the quarterback is going to start? Isn't it the idea, the call of the head coach to decide when the quarterback is going to start? Don't they see that in practice every day? Does collaborative mean that Robert Kraft is going to express his opinion? Does collaborative mean that Alex Van Pelt, the offensive coordinator, is going to win? Like, to me, this is Gerard Mayo's team. It's his decision. He could solicit the input of the offensive coordinator, but he's going to see him practice every day. He's been around the game. That's why they hired him as the head coach. I don't know why we have a collaborative approach. And I guess it was collaborative when you're drafting two. I get it. Everybody's new there. Everybody's starting fresh. They want to do things the right way. But to me, Gerard Mayo has to make the call